do we dance? Why do we dance? Socially, precociously, copiously, knowingly, emotionally, wholesomely, globally, uncontrollably, uncontrollably, unashamedly, unregrettably, undeniably, most definitely, global poetry, global poetry. Before we charge into battle, endorphin ritual, seduction, religion, diplomacy. Dance like nobody's watching, dance like you don't care. And if you bounce, bounce, bounce to the beat, 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 you can dance everywhere, you can dance anywhere. Dance like nobody's watching, dance like you don't care. And if you bounce, bounce, bounce to the beat, 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 you can dance everywhere, you can dance anywhere. Dancing in the kitchen with the pots and pans.
Good evening, folks. It's the Pelikan Podcast, and we're on number 43 this week, and it's a totally different kind of vibe this week. We've actually, the album we're reviewing by Colonel Mustard The Dijon 5, we've actually got David and John for the band on. They're going to go through it track by track, and we're going to review the album and see where it sits on our Pelikan Podcast chart. There's no Andy this week, so joining us is Jason Skimming.
Scotty boy.
How you doing? A very
Not bad,
happy
pal.
man today. A very happy man today, aren't you, in your pub? And
Out celebrating a monumentous occasion. Monumental occasion, should I say. So,
Skimmer's a big SNP fan, so they've won their seat to air in the elections, which is the first in years. So you'll be happy about that tonight.
Delighted.
I'm not talking politics for me. I don't know much about that, but I know that the Tories have been in here for a while, and it's not a nice place. It's that high streets went downhill, so hopefully the SNP can sort that out. But what an album we've got tonight. One of the festival favourites, I would say. Their following at festivals is amazing. I think if you're on a bill that Colonel Mustard and Dijon 5 are on, you're going to have a good gig, because their crowd, it reminds me of when I first went and seen like Jerry Cinnamon. The crowd is part of the band or the act, you know. It's like it's absolutely brilliant. So we have the I don't know how you pronounce that, the Jancer, but it's Mr. David Blair. How you doing?
Hello, the Dijancer.
The Dijancer.
It's a portmanteau. My real name is David John, so DJ, Dijon, Dancer, Jancer, all
Dijon. All right, because I'm going to try and work out how we got the name and all
the
that.
above.
And Mr. Mcmustard was here, but he's jumped off for a second. So I'll add him.
I better send him the link.
Is he maybe?
I know he must have had the link.
He was on and he's maybe went off. Big Colonel Mustard fan Alana's on tonight. She's watching. Evening, absolute banger of the night. And Craig as well. He's buzzing for this as well.
I've already.
Craig. Alana, they sent me a wee video of them jumping about playing the songs in their Dijon merch.
Craig sent me that as well.
High five to both of yous.
Yeah. Sarah Brown's watching as well. Oi oi troops. Alana Anderson again, woohoo the SNP. Kieran Fisher's watching as well. Evening. And and Gary Pender's what's happening, lads. Great stuff. So it's a new thing for us. We weren't too sure about being in bands, but you're not in a band anymore, Skimmer.
Well, I'm having a hiatus.
You're having a hiatus, but and then reviewing somebody else's album. But I think that's just what the podcast is all about. So we review. Vic Galloway's in a band and he reviews albums and plays songs. So I'm not saying I'm Vic Galloway, but anyway, I think we can do it, and I think we can.
More like George Galloway.
More like George Galloway. Aye. So, David,
Yes.
Tell me let's start with Colonel Mustard and the Dijon 5. How did this band get together? I'm thinking Dijon, David John. I think that's got something to do with. So were you a founder member, or is that just a coincidence?
No, that wasn't. That was just a synchronistic quirk of fate, I suppose. No, John and his cousin Gary, the Archduke Mortimer Winthrop, the third Marquis of Denmark, to give him his full Dijon pseudonym. John and Gary started the band 11, 12-ish years ago now, maybe, I think. Right. The genesis of the band, our band formed out of the ashes of the Ping Pong Banana Show and another band called the Snozzwangers. And the Ping Pong Banana Show, the yellow theme runs strong, as you can see. The Ping Pong Banana Show was John, an amazing multi-instrumentalist, co-singer, songwriter, guitarist called Dave Nelson, our wee pal Andy Cardigan. Shout out to wee Andy. He had a massive stroke which nearly killed him, and he's had an amazing fight back miraculously against all odds, and he's actually back at work now after that. And we thought we were losing him, so big up Andy and Denise and the boys. And Big Mog's on drums in the Ping Pong Banana Show as well, so he's still the drummer in Colonel Mustard and the Dijon 5. And after we've got Pillow and the Teeny to thank for the band starting, because Pillow asked Dave Nelson to join his band, or to be a part of his new band that he was going to start after the success of the first album, to jam and record with a group of pals and then go on tour with them with his second album. So Pillow asked Dave to join his band. Dave said to John, right, I'm leaving to join Pillow and the Teeny. John says, best of luck to you. And yeah, nature abhors a vacuum. So out of those ashes, John got together with his cousin Gary and went, let's start a band. I think the name, somebody just said the name down at Glastonbury or something. I think it was at the Stone Circle. If I ever formed a band, I'd call them Colonel Mustard and the Dijon 5. And John put that underneath his not disco cap at the time, his thinking cap at the time, and just saved onto the name until the point where they started this band with Gary and went, that's a brilliant name, let's use that.
Wikipedia say that according to you, the origin of the band's name came from a shaman from Dijon who presented the band name to Colonel at the Glastonbury Stone Circle in 1997. That's cool.
Wikipedia is supposed to be the truth, isn't it?
Aye. It is, because we use it every week.
You get more truth out of Wikipedia than you do the BBC.
That's true. Let me send this link to John again in WhatsApp, just in case he's...
Scott, you need to go up a bit.
Do I? Is my sound?
Aye, turn yourself up, please, Scott.
Is that better?
Much better.
I just got a message for Jackie to say that I sound as if I'm in the waltzers.
Scream if you want to go faster.
So John starts. When do you get involved, David? Are you later in the story, or are you friends with John? Did you grow up together?
We did, aye. So John and I have known each other since we were 5. So maybe that's where the number 5 comes into play. We started primary 1 together in St Barbara's in Muirhead, and we've been pals ever since. I've always John in his teens. He moved down to Moodiesburn, so that was a bit away from Muirhead, and we didn't see one another as much after that. Hello, Mary. Yes, on the Snozzwangers. Sorry, I didn't finish saying where the rest of it came in. So the Snozzwangers had Chris Grant, wee Alan Dunn, and Mayah on bass, and then they came in and made up part of the Dijon 5 to begin with as well. Chris is still in the band. Chris is our main guitarist in the band. That's his mum, Mary, that's on just now. Hello, Mary. Sorry, hope you're well. We hung about growing up. Then once John started forming like teenage bands and stuff, I used to go and see them in different places, and it would just be a great excuse to meet up with pals and get pissed, do what you do, go to a gig, have a great night, and like the local boozers round about our North Lanarkshire schemes. And Sarah, never heard of the Snooze Wanglers. Snooze Wanglers? No, Snooze Wangers. Bring up Mary's. I think Mary spelled it right. Snooze Wangers, Sarah. That's the one. Still t-shirts kicking about somewhere. Maybe Mary's still got a Snooze Wangers t-shirt. That'll be a collector's item now. You get right. You get £5 for that in an eBay auction. I stayed pals with John. We just go to all these various different bands, gigs that we, Andy and the rest of them, and Big Mogs and all of that had been in a lot of them as well. I think Mogs has been the drummer, and I've lost count of how many bands with John, but I think Mogs and John have been together in bands for must be about 25 years, maybe, I reckon. You less for murder. So my direct involvement in the band came a few years after they started. I'd went over and emigrated to, that was a plan to go and live and work in Costa Rica for a wee while, teaching English. And I sadly caught dengue fever, which wasn't looking too good for a wee while. And I was just done in from that, and I came back, and then I was along, I think it was maybe like a Thursday night in Pivo 2013 when the early lineup of the band played, and then I was along there. So I'd been to see them at a few gigs, and I think the song Dance Off was in the set by then. I used to do a bit of breakdancing when I was younger and go to breakdancing classes with the Glasgow City Breakers and the Flying Jalapenos, and whenever they played that song, I just used to a wee circle and I would start breakdancing at the beginning of that song just to try and get the crowd more involved in maybe what they were, other than standing looking thinking, what the fuck is this we're watching? That was me trying to bring some normality to it, just being one of the original 6 Dijons. And then John says, I'll jump up on stage for this one if you want. I was like, and do what? And he looked in his bag of props and he had a rubber chicken, and he says, I just jump about with this. So like Bez with his maracas and Keith Flint getting on stage with the Prodigy for the first time, that was me getting on stage, but I didn't have yellow maracas and I wasn't as good a dancer as Keith Flint. So I just jumped about with a rubber chicken, and I've never got off the stage. Well, I have got off the stage many times, part of the show. But that was it.
When you decided you needed like more members, and you have made it like you've got the horns and all that in there. You've got the saxophone. It's like when James play live, they do a song at like "Come Home" or something, and they bring half the crowd up with them. Like, I always think that it's like a kind of like. I think the first time I seen you, I was like, oh, good, half the crowd's up there with them. But no, they weren't. They were all playing. You've got DJs in the band. You've got like trumpets, saxophone, keyboard player that brings all different sounds to it.
How many official members have you actually got, David?
We've had a settled sort of full team, an actual full team 11 for at least maybe like 2 or 3 years now, I reckon. But John's brother-in-law, Roddy Dixon, aka Bongo Gorilla, as his Dijon pseudonym is. He joins us for like the festivals and stuff. And Roddy used to be the mestre for Samba Ya Bamba for about 13 odd years or something like that. So the guy's just absolutely amazing. Like, he's been out to Brazil. He's been trained by like Rio Carnival mestres, like the top men over there. And the man can just hit and shake pretty much anything and get a really good sound and beat and rhythm out of it. So I love what he does when he joins us on stage for the big gigs and the festivals. So he's our main substitute.
No, I'm saying here he is here, not the substitute. This is
John.
Here he is.
Hey.
Who are you?
My computer's shite. I sent a message. My computer is pure rubbish. I'm going
to quickly share the links now.
Right. It should be a modern computer that's good, that these things don't happen, but I need to wear a headset, otherwise it sounds like a lawnmower, and it's got a big crack in it, and it just kicks me out randomly. So, but it was quite good listening to you give the history there. It saved me a job.
What was it like?
Correct me for any inaccuracies.
Aye, there was a couple.
What was it like, John, in the start, like, going about, like, I'm interested in the teenage gigs, like, becoming a musician. Were you always a singer? You're obviously must be into poetry or something like that, because lyrically, when we're listening to this album, there's wee things in there that don't just come to somebody's head that started songwriting. So, what were you into that became John Mcmustard kind of thing?
I wouldn't say I was majorly into poetry or anything, but I was into like poetic lyricists like Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen and stuff like that, and even some of the stuff the Beatles, were writing in the end up. That was my influences. Just when I think just for a young age, just like I used to write, because my memory's still rubbish. Like a lot of the time, I forget lyrics when I'm on stage, and then the guys are looking at me, and I'm like, "No, I've rewritten that bit. It's fine." But for a young age, it was just getting into like music more, and obviously I was into reading books and stuff like that, but nothing, fucking majorly like, I don't know, like intellectual or anything like that. I was a very middle of the road student all the way. Aye, FHM big time, aye. But music for a young age, I totally loved it, as I think everybody does, but I got obsessed with the Beatles for a long time, and then at school I wanted to be in bands and stuff like that, but I actually chose drama over music because I couldn't play anything, although my nana was a piano teacher, but she was really strict. But I kind of wish I'd stuck at that now, because she was brilliant. She was the best piano teacher in the area. But at family parties it was sing songs. It was like, right, a wee party piece, my dad singing Pavarotti, or and then when I moved from Muirhead to Moodiesburn, like David had told you, it was Roddy, who's now my brother-in-law, that plays percussion, that's done all those amazing things. He was in Cuba when Castro died. I think he's actually a hitman. So Roddy got me into loads of brilliant bands that I kind of heard of, but I'd shut off my sort of music because I was just like, no, I'm just into the Beatles and a wee bit of the Doors and Nirvana, but bit of Primal Scream, but that's it. And then Roddy was like, right, listen to this, Black Crowes, Pink Floyd, all the good stuff. And at that point, I kind of went through a thing where I moved for Muirhead, where it was probably a fairly comfortable middle class background, to right into the hardest scheme street in Moodiesburn. My bike stolen in the first week, getting into fights and mainly getting doons, but it was like a total baptism of fire, and I was probably a bit depressed for probably 6 months, a year, because you do drift apart even if you're a town away. But Roddy was like that, come out, and another pal, Nicola, chapped my window one night, and it was kind of the beginning of teenage adventures, and it was before phones, so when I went down to like the corner, we were called the Corner Boys.
Not actual phones, John. You're not that old. It was before mobile phones. Moodiesburn isn't that backward.
No, it was before phones. I'm telling you, boy. Coal power.
Moodiesburn was in black and white.
Aye, but I went down, and it was like guys like Richie and Tosh and just some of the boys, like Mackie's that was my nickname. Mackie's a Beatles fan, and right away it was like, all right, and it was just music. And by just getting into all the stuff you're into when you're a teenager, but we used to go and hang about at an old abandoned mental hospital, just get away from, so that you weren't getting bothered, and just a total sing-song like Pearl Jam, Smashing Pumpkins, Nirvana, and then Oasis came out, and my mate Nizzy played me Oasis at a party, and it was the first night I met Big Craig, our drummer, and it was 6 a.m, and we were all spangled, and I was meeting people for the first time, and Moggs had this pure kid on moustache, and he's only a year older than me, but I was like, who are these pure men? I can't believe what the fuck's going on. But Moggs has always had, and he's still not particularly got a better moustache than he did at that point. But it was he played Oasis, Live Forever, and it was like, fucking hell, like that is amazing. And that was the moment, and I walked home singing it in my head. And the next week at school, my mate's big brother, McNamee's big brother Gav, was selling Oasis tickets for the Barras. 20 quid, you get a fake ID and Oasis ticket, and me and 3 of my mates went. And when I was 16, Liam walked off after 3 songs, but we got a free gig like 2 weeks after that anyway. But it was the first time Noel had done like a full set, and he was just like, right, everybody put your arms around each other, we're going to get through this together. I don't know half the words, and it was a beautiful moment. That both gigs were absolutely amazing, but I remember going, that's what I want to do. And it took us 20 years to fucking play the Barras, but we eventually got there. But David was talking about Craig, me, him and Roddy, who Roddy's an amazing guitarist as well. We used to rehearse for that age, for about 16, in Craig's garage, and I would sing in a set of headphones that he'd somehow made into a microphone, but you couldn't hear anything, because for that young age, Moggs was like into his heavy metal and all that, and Roddy was into Zeppelin, but getting into Oasis and all that as well. So they two would just jam for hours, not hearing me, but me just. But the thing that kind of sparked it was just out in the streets singing like Definitely Maybe from start to finish, or Siamese Dream from start to finish with mates, and Roddy going, oh, we've got this wee acoustic gig at the Vale, and I think we were 16 when we first done it, and it was just like, come up and sing, and I didn't know I was a particularly good singer, but he was like, you and Tosh come up, so we were obviously the 2 best ones, and we both went up, and that was it. I was like, fucking love this, man. It's amazing.
I'm a rock star. Just like him. That's amazing. You're saying Live Forever's the one, because that was the tune that got me into Oasis, and it was where the video when you had the cool John Lennon glasses on, and the vid sitting in the table, the chair that was on the wall,
the chair when they bury Tony McCarroll.
Poor Tony. So that's amazing. So you're into Oasis, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and then we'll come to your new album very soon after we do the Pelikan 4. But like, it's totally like what was the word you used, Jason, about this album?
Genre busting.
It's like, well, I don't hear any Oasis. I certainly hear a bit of. So I've got the Primal Scream influence.
I've got a bit of Stone Roses in one of the tunes as well, with the backwards guitar bits and that, like Squire-esque.
There's probably not.
Your vocal suits the 90s. Your voice when you sing in it, Skimmer. It's like it would be like you can hear that in it, the kind of rawness, and then you put the wee Scottish twang in and all. And but obviously, so you're into all that music. David comes to a gig and starts breakdancing in the middle of the thing, and you're thinking to yourself, "There's my pal David there. We're going to need to. He's some dancer, by the way. We're going to need to funk this up a bit, so we're needing a few more folk in the band." Is that how it went, David?
I think David just it was a kind of natural progression. I needed my Bez, and me and Blair were inseparable at that point. David, Blair, that is this guy, and we used to go to Liverpool and go partying, but there was this whole other thing that happened that. At that point, it was indie rock and roll were our tribe, and probably David was a bit like that. But then separately to that, once we hadn't seen each other for a while, we'd both got right into dance music. So me and Roddy moved to the West End when we were 21 and just shared a room, and we used to go to the Arches every single weekend, and that's when I started meeting David at gigs initially, but then drifted apart a bit, and then it was like the Archies and Prodigy gigs and going to see too many DJs. In fact, we had a dance off in the Barrowland. I bet him in a dance off.
John has this skewed made up version of history. We had a dance off during too many DJs in the Barrowland. Obviously, as you know how wet the floor gets in there, it was just absolutely soaking.
Listen to the excuses coming.
The pennies were steaming. John's only got one breakdancing move, so I don't know how he could have beat me.
I got it off a 5, I know. That move I learned for a fucking 5 video.
Slam dunk the funk.
Aye. But that's kind of what happened next. And then from that, it was like the party days with, do you know, I suppose the rock and roll indie thing, but like breakbeat and big beat and stuff like that. I love like Fatboy Slim and the Chemical Brothers, but Roddy was getting into like drum and bass and all these other types of dance music. So aye, it's always at a point I went, I'm not just that tribe, I'm into whatever music I am, and I suppose that's probably why you maybe don't hear Oasis on it, but you hear hundreds of other stuff.
Brilliant stuff. That's a great insight to it all, and I'm sure we'll have. There'll be Mayah as well. Jason's got some questions, and he said that he'll bring to the table as well, I'm sure. Talking about Prodigy, Sarah Brown, she's seen Prodigy at T in the Park, epic. Love James, reminds me back in the day. I think we were talking about James there before.
I'd like to give a shout out to Soapy Suitor and Andy Diagram from James, because Soapy I think was possibly one of the first few. He's an admin just now anyway on the main James Facebook fan group or forum, and he's got really pally with all the band through that, particularly quite close with Saul. The two of them were integral. It was their idea over a Zoom during lockdown that they did the music feeds big online gig where they got £1 million from the co-op for the food bank charities and stuff like that. And got a lot of big names, including Liam Gallagher, donated probably for anyway. Liam, he donated his that Thames set that he did, so he let them use some of that footage. James obviously did something for it. There's a lot of Scottish talent on it as well. I think Amy McDonald and a few others were on it. So Soapy for a while, as much like he's loved and supported us along with his lovely wife Susan, and been right into everything that we've been about, the whole sort of underground alternative music community, like the Yellow Movement, everybody involved in that. He is just one of the best supporters of music in Scotland, and he was given quite a few of the James band members pieces of our merch and Yellow Movement t-shirts and hoodies. And when they sold out the Hydro, Andy Diagram was wearing his Peace, Love and Mustard hoodie and t-shirt on stage, and he got some pictures and all that backstage. So shout out to all of them. They've been spreading the mustard. Thank you.
Wow.
Cheers, lads.
Let's see. Ian McKee's watching tonight. Oh, good. Have a few drinks in there. Every bird I've ever known chose drama over music.
Be prepared for a few wide comments tonight if Ian's on the wine.
Yes, aye. Brought another Ian.
Every bird you ever had a beard like this or not.
Live Forever, what a tune with Sarah Brown. Ian McKee paid £220 the next night for that Barra's gig. So you're talking
that be the Oasis one he's talking about.
Aye. Jim Reid for the Ronains. He's
Jim.
watching.
All right, Jim.
The album tonight.
Jimbo.
Oh, nice one, mate.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Jim.
David has always been there for me personally. Love him with all my heart. Genuine guy. There you go, David.
Likewise, Jim. Love you, brother.
It was David that I also went to David as well to get the platform to do a podcast, and I was always frightened to ask folk, like I always wanted to do a podcast, and I was frightened to ask folk, like, what do you use to do your podcast? And I think I worded it in a kind of frightening way, and David was straight away, I fucking use this here, just take this here, that's a link going there, absolutely brilliant. Okay then, it's time for this.
Justify all the lies of your dreams and nightmares rolling through the brain. Well, you can't understand what I'm trying to kill you. Can't understand what I'm trying to kill you. Dancing around in circles, what you're trying to explain.
So it's the Pelikan 4. This is before we go into the album review and track by track from John and David in the new Colonel Mustard and the Dijon 5's Difficult Number 2 album, which is, we'll find out in a minute where it's sitting in the charts. I think David's going to update us later. But the Pelikan 4, if you watch every week, is we all choose an act. It could be a pal, it could be a song we've heard from a a kind of up and coming artist, and it's just to give it a wee plug, play like a few seconds, 30 seconds of their songs, and hopefully all you viewers can go in and follow them and get into their music, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. So we'll come to you first, Jason. Who's your Pelikan 4 this week?
My Pelikan 4 is a band called Tonto from Alloa. Young Kieran Fisher's the front man. We played a gig with Kieran years ago. He was just playing acoustic. Bazza Mills, who's been a big supporter of Seaside Suns for the start, done pictures for us and that, and just really championed us for the get-go. Has been looking after Kieran and helping him out, and he kind of put me on to Kieran when he was doing his solo stuff. And then they started to do it, like, Kieran was doing his solo stuff, and it was like, you could just tell the tunes needed a band. And then they got the band together, and it was called, like, I think it was Kieran Fisher and the Real Movement. They'd released a single last year, which done really well. And then I think they just decided to go with this new identity and some new tunes, and this new one, Down the Hatch, that's come out. It's just a proper indie rock and roll tune. That's what they're all about, if you actually go and see them live. So
here we go. So this is Tonto, Down the Hatch.
Class, love that.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Pure to get the
Go on, so.
and the
Well, and
catch as
Kieran.
well. You've got the production spot on for a 90s type indie
Totally.
rock band.
it's like a throwback, innit? They're just a throwback.
A wee bit, but there's something modern there, I know. There's a wee look back, but there's something raw and now, I know about it.
I'm excited for where they might actually go, because now that Kieran's got it seems like he's got the right band behind him, and they've got this new identity. I think they'll go places, you know.
So you reckon a song like that would have been like acoustically before Skimmer and then
Aye, like I love his voice. Even I see him live, his voice is fucking amazing, man.
It's just it's a classic indie rock and roll voice. Top boy as well. I booked him and he's played some of our musicians against homelessness gigs before in Edinburgh. He's got a sound moral compass. His heart's in the right place as well. And I think it just takes like yourself as well, Jason, like with your vocals and the music Seaside Sun plays as well. It's just classic indie rock and roll for me.
There's nothing too fancy about it, man. It's just
you're
fucking
right there.
It doesn't need to be. It's got the sum is greater than its individual parts.
Aye.
Aye, definitely. That's brilliant. So that's Tonto, so brilliant. Kieran, we love that. Good voice. Love the guitar tone. I think they've got that to a T, so good production there, whoever the producer was of that. Brilliant. Let's go for yours, John. I'm going to get it ready. So just once you're ready, I'll get it ready.
Aye, I'm ready.
So who's your Pelikan for this week?
So this is the Mickey Nine's new tune, Raw.
Right, I've got it.
It's an absolute stormer. It's
Oh,
pretty.
man, I watched it and I was like, wow.
I remember gigging with them years ago and never heard of them before. They played a wee cafe bar. Remember that basement cafe bar thing in here?
Aye.
It was at the old bridge. We played in there, and Mickey Nine's headlined, and there was like, I don't know, maybe like 20 folk there, max. And he came on stage with a mask and that. And I was just like, what the fuck? Nobody was ready for that.
Aye.
And here, do you know what I mean? But I was blown away by the music, but as I say, it was just that would go back for, man, that must have been about 2013 or something, maybe 14.
I've got a funny feeling as well. I think this is Mickey Nine's second tune on the Pelikan 4. So we'll play this. This is Mickey Nine's Raw, chosen by John. Here we go.
I like my meat on its feet with a spear and a saw. I like it salty. I like it red. I like the spittle on the lips when they're giving me it. I like it bloody. I like it pink. I like the juice off the bone. Then I'm down in my drink. I like it meaty. I like it warm. I like the scald on the tongue when I'm taking it on. I like it raw. I like it raw. Turn up the bass. I like it. Spicy. I like when it burns. I like the pain in my muscles when.
Wow. I love that. I absolutely love that, man.
It's fucking different. It's different.
Doogie's like all of that. It's just a great tune, but it's the showmanship and the acting. Doogie's one of the best writers, but he's in character there. Do you know what I mean? And even like, you can tell he's thought about how he's going to pronounce certain words and all that. There, you can like, if you know him, you're just like a lot of thoughts went into every little part of. Do you know what he's done there?
That's what I meant, but I didn't mean that in a disrespectful way when I said Air wasn't ready for that, but it genuinely, nobody expected that to come out. They were like, everybody was like, what the fuck?
I love bands where the singer's like totally out there, right? And then you've got the guitarist is just like fucking
yeah.
And just like pure cool as anything. Like
I've described
this is normal.
I've described Mickey Nines as a Scottish fusion between Rage Against the Machine, Soulwax, and Daft Punk robot rock era. But I know, having chatted with Dougie and obviously just seen and listened to the new tunes and what they've been posting online, they shared Dougie, well, whoever it is, they share some great Spotify playlists, and one of the recent ones they've done, which is a belter, is industrial rock, industrial metal playlist with the preamble that, in their opinion, this album is their heaviest album to date. So it's been really influenced by people like Nine Inch Nails and Rammstein and stuff like that, and you can definitely hear it in that. But I love industrial metal.
I can take industrial metal or leave it, but I listened to that playlist and there was actually some songs that I probably hated when I was younger that I was like, that's actually no bad. Aye. But there was
just
still...
Like how I didn't like reggae when I was younger as well, John.
Ska. But
sorry.
The Rammstein one was the exception. I'm like, how can them be into that? I just don't get it. But when a bit of Rage Against the Machine and, you know, Nine Inch Nails and Queens of the Stone Age, I can take.
Raimondo O'Neill was there that night, wasn't he?
Raimondo.
Superb.
Surprised that wee cafe at the Old Brig was still standing after the Mickey Nines gig.
Oh, that's great to see somebody was there. I didn't make that up.
So that was John's choice. Brilliant choice, John. But I think that is Mickey Nines' second appearance in the Pelikan 4. So I'm going to start following them because I never the last time.
Scott, I think you could maybe going up a wee bit again, mate, on your mic. Aye.
Aye. Turn yourself up, please, Scott.
That's me. Is that better a wee bit?
Aye.
Better, yep.
Cool. Right, okay then. We'll come to you, David, for your Pelikan 4.
Yes, all right. Sorry, I thought you were going to play it.
You're going to introduce it to everybody.
Brilliant. Okay, well, my Pelikan 4 recommendation is Mayah Herlihy's Follow the Sunshine. And Mayah's the youngest at 14 act that I've got on my 23 music management roster. I think she's probably for me, the most talented female singer-songwriter teenager in Scotland right now. Her debut single, On My Way, when it was released in January, went to number 1 in the UK country charts for 16 days, keeping off Dolly and Johnny and many other more famous people from the pub sport. And second single that we were working with. So that first single had came out, produced by my 23 promotions partner, Andy Anderson. So he said, listen, you really need to check this lassie out, which I did, and absolutely loved it. Song was amazing as well. Everything, great package, everything going on there. And then we worked together on the second single, and we got her, well, she became the BBC Radio Scotland's youngest ever musician to become Single of the Week on the afternoon show at only 14. So that was an amazing achievement as well. That was confirmed on air and on Twitter by Grant Stott. And we had a lot of airplay for this single as well. Our Dijon brother, Martin Windybank, has worked on quite a few videos with us and documented our Korean adventures. He's made an amazing video, which we're about to see. So, Mayah Herlihy, Follow the Sunshine.
Here we go. Once again, I think we've spoke about this. We've spoke about this quite a lot in the last few weeks. It's the Scottish women that are stealing the show now in music. The amount of female artists that are coming out the news, absolutely brilliant. Love her voice, David. That's a good project. That'll be a really good journey to follow.
Yeah, definitely. What's in the pipeline? She's it's the gig in the Goyle, the Virtual G this weekend. So Mayah's playing on Sunday, along with another amazing female singer-songwriter on the roster called Sasha Calla-Harris. Another amazing duo, electronic pop duo called Sylvie. They're playing on the Virtual G tomorrow as well. Mm-hmm. Mayah's in for the Vibration Festival as well. There's quite a few things in the pipeline. So exciting times, mate.
What age did you say she was, David?
Mayah's only 14.
What a voice she's got, man.
I know. So she's been doing stage and theatre since she was 7, and I think she's been singing and playing since she was about 11. And the electronic press kit we were sending out, I was picking up a really Stevie Nicks Fleetwood Mac vibe from her singing and that song. So I put that as just my wee quote in the EPK. And when she was interviewed then by Janice Forsyth on the Monday before being introduced as Single of the Week. And it was a nice coincidence because they actually played Fleetwood Mac before the interview, which I thought, I wonder if they've done that just because I'd said that. And then Janice herself did say that, there's a wee bit of Stevie Nicks going on there, I can hear. So she knows her music. Shout out to Janice. She's been a big supporter for us as well.
Yeah.
Your 23 music management's going well. That's every week. Every week there's another artist there going well, my man.
Not anymore. Just happy with what we've got now.
Happy with what you've got. Brilliant. Excellent. Okay then, I'll go into mine. So it's the Ronains. Debbie has been on before on the Pelikan Podcast with yourself, Jason. You did what they called again?
Reverend the Makers.
He did that album. And Jim was on, he did The Doors. But the Ronains are bringing out a new song, a cover of the Corrie's Flower of Scotland. Pretty much to kind of tie in with the sport this summer, especially with Scotland qualifying for the first Euros in years. It's very different than the original. It's got the great vocals of Debbie, giving it loudy, and then the kind of Ronains kind of driving force behind it as well. So here it is. This is out today, is it? I think you can pre-order it anyway. You can pre-order it anyway, and it'll be out very soon. If not today, I'm sure it was out today, but I'm sure Jim can come on and tell us. This is Flower of Scotland. Here we go. There you go. That is the Ronains and Flower of Scotland. Skimmer, you're a very proud Scotsman. You follow Scotland everywhere. You,
For my sins, aye.
how's that?
Aye, listen, I've heard the Ronains, they used to start their gigs playing that, and then they would go in, like they would just play a wee bit of Flower of Scotland, then they go into their opening tune. So they've obviously went with the same kind of vibe. I'd be interested to hear the full song.
Aye, it made me really want to hear what happens next.
Aye, where does it go? Where does it go after that? Do you know what I mean?
That was brilliant. Like Debbie's vocals there are great, and it's almost got that sort of Clanad vibe to it, and it's great.
Shout, man.
It's amazing. I've heard the full thing. It's absolutely incredible. Just Debbie's. I mean, if that's played in front of however many up an army, it's total hairs on the back of your neck. So well done.
I'll greet. If I play that at Hampden, I'll greet if we're allowed to go.
Aye,
I think the vocal's good, but I think I've heard when I've not heard the recorded version they've done, but I've heard a version of it when it kicks in, when they all kick in. And
The drums come in and that.
The drums come in, and
it's one of the ones.
not so much the bass. The bass is all right in it, but the drums when they kick in, aye.
Scott, can I post in the private chat for you to share in the comments? I can't seem to do it just now. Mayah and the Ronains and John Rush really jiggered in the Well Happy Band. They're playing our immersive TV gig next Saturday. So if anybody wants to tune into that.
There it is there, guys. Immersive TV, which is
The
a
ticket,
great gig.
you can get the tickets from 23universe.com. They'll put the direct ticket link in the private chat if you want to share it as well, mate.
Yeah, I'll share that as well, yeah. Can do that. This is where, and can I do that actually? Copy? Yes, I can. That's just what Andy usually
Control
does.
C, Control V.
I'm doing Andy's thing this week.
Aye.
Yeah, there it is. There it's there in the comments. So Debbie, oh yeah, a bunch of buttes. I was doing a podcast tonight and my phone was pinging with the messages about this.
Oh,
So
great.
well done,
Debbie, you're amazing, and your vocals sound fantastic there.
Well, Debbie,
Jumbo,
can't wait to see
hear
you.
it. Aye.
Can't wait to see you next Saturday.
Jumbo, we stood against them. Craig Anderson, Debbie Ronains, send me the link for that, please. That's for the live gig, I think. Flower of Scotland, right, Sinead O'Connor vibe. Also, her voice reminds me of a Martin Bennett tune. Nice one. And Debbie again. I think it goes really different, even to the start. Oh God, I'm so nervous for everyone to hear it.
It's already brilliant.
When's
Even
Debbie, when's
just
it out? When's it out? Tell us when it's out, Debbie, because we don't know when it's out.
Well done in the album position, guys. Loving the album, especially in a bit of sunshine.
Thank you, Debbie.
Which we will come to.
Thank you, Alana.
Now, so before we go into the review and the track by track info of the brilliant summary happy album for Colonel Mustard The Dijon 5, the difficult number 2. I'm just going to say it now. This is my favourite song on the album. I can't get this out of my head, and we're going to play the recent single from the album. This is Your House by Colonel Mustard The Dijon 5, and then we'll get into this album.
thinking about music playing loud, all around my head. Back in the day, there was a sound in Chicago and Detroit that made its way across the pond. And people raved for days and days. The people raved.
Going all night long to the 808 with the 4 to the floor and a love sensation. It's a revelation, activation of the house foundation. They thought we were running low, but now we're running the show. And the songs belong to the people in their hearts and soul. This is your house, welcome home. This is your house. This is your house. Everybody belong. Everybody belong. This is your house, welcome home. This is your house. This is your house. Everybody belongs. All the colors inside out, the arches below. The slam release to the pressure of the death disco. They thought we were running low, and now we're running the show. And the songs belong to the people in their hearts and souls. This is your house, welcome home. This is your house. This is your house. Everybody belong. Everybody belong. Everybody belong. See, this is your house, welcome home. This is your house. This is your house. Everybody belongs. Everybody belongs. Showers one more tune, time was running thin, unified as one, uncontrollably dancing. We are together, now and forever, never alone. Make this house my home. Together we are never alone. And the songs belong to the people in their hearts and souls. This is your house, welcome home. This is your house. This is your house. Everybody belong. Everybody belong. Everybody belong. See, this is your house, welcome home. This is your house. This is your house. Everybody belongs. Everybody
Tremendous, absolutely tremendous. What a great video as well, guys. The video was absolutely brilliant. Tell us about that video, John. What was the idea behind that, guys?
We had a few ideas, but I think it had to be about, I suppose, that feeling where you feel at home. And Kirsten filmed her bit in Johnston. It was a weird one because Martin was like, I know this cool place near Helensburgh and we'll film it there. And it ended up, see Mark, DJ5, we're like, we'll go down. We could only go down with a couple of us, just obviously because of lockdown and that. So we're like, right, us four will go down, social distance and all that. We'll get the deck set up in the beach and just, make it lit. And it was just a total fluke that it was the first sunny day of the year in an absolute scorcher. So it looked like fucking Ibiza or something.
Cool.
But where we were was actually the closest place to that is where Mark, DJ5, was kind of brought up as a kid. He's like, this is where I was, like, we hadn't realised So it was just like one of these pure weird coincidences. But then, because a lot of the songs about the Archies and us, growing up listening to dance music, so we're like, we need to go and film outside the Archies and do something there and give David a knockback for getting in.
Which was the first knockback I've ever had for the Archies.
Right.
Amazing considering the nick I used to get in before I went.
I've had at least two. I got away because I looked a bit older, I think. Well, I was over 18, but it's that way. I don't know. I had a good I could get a rapport with a bouncer, but some guys that you were pals with were always just couldn't get in anywhere, could they?
One of my big brother's pals worked on the door, so not on the door, but he was a promoter. So I used to be able to name check him and capturado him and jump the queue sometimes.
He's the biggest blagger, and him and Mark McGee in Glasgow. The other thing that was nice, it was like we need to get down to the People's Palace because that's an important building for Glasgow. It's like the people's history of Glasgow is in there, and on the way there, I'm like, there's some fucking palm trees let's dance about in front of. I've never noticed them before. Like, obviously, there's the glass house inside, but it was just like, I don't know, it just had this sort of tropical, but also Glasgow, Scotland thing going on, and it was great fun to do.
The Campsies means a lot to me and John as well. Like, we spent a lot of time up there when we were Waynes.
And
Saturdays during school holidays, jump on the BMX, go over to Kirky Baths in the morning, get a rolling French fries when French fries were still a novelty and you could only get them for the one Wimpy in Glasgow town centre. And then you've got the Campsies up the Clack and a Campsie and just play at the waterfalls and stuff. So I've been getting, I was having problems again with my mental health. I was depressed over a lot of winter, and I started getting right into the old Wim Hof wild swimming and cold showers, cold water therapy and his breathing technique. So I've been jumping up sometimes 4 mornings in a row and just going up and immersing myself in the cold water up there for 6 minutes at a time and stuff. So I wanted to get that into the video as well.
See, to be fair to David as well, there'll be a bit of feedback. He was in there for a good fucking 15 minutes that day. Like, I was like, no, we need one more shot. And I was
like, John, I'm numb from the waist down.
I'm like, listen, David, with the public need this shot. But we got some good shots.
We did. I always suffer for my art.
Do you ever have that thing, right? You think of something that's like just random that you've no, so like for talking's sake, like a daffodil. I've not seen a daffodil in a while, right? Or something like that, and then like 2 days later a daffodil appears. Well, Mary Kiani, right? I just one day wondered what Mary Kiani was in TTF's up to, and then bang, fucking you bring a song out and she's on it. No joke.
That's called the Jungian collective consciousness.
Is that an actual name?
It's an actual thing. Carl Jung postulated that we're all interconnected through a collective consciousness, which, if you want to explore it down a quantum physics level through the Podolsky-Rosen the Einstein-Podolsky-Rosen paradox and Bell's theorem and work done by various other people, theoretical physicists and actual physicists who have won the Nobel Prizes for the work they've done on it. We are all interconnected at a quantum level.
Wait, hold on there. The Pelikan Podcast always like to write down big words, but there was a lot there. Skimmer's face there. He's going.
You lost me at
Podolsky, did he not play Arsenal?
I know what you're talking about.
Skimmer's a hard Arsenal team.
I concur.
The previous.
I've been celebrating a victory since 6 o'clock, man. Don't give me big words.
The previous Podolsky was a well-renowned Princeton physicist.
Brilliant. And so another well-renowned Mary Kiani. How did you? Was that just a phone call, or do you know her?
Well, Mary discovered us through somehow, but on Twitter, and myself and John mostly, I think, or entirely. Like we manage our Twitter account, and when I saw sharing like she maybe just mentioned her name in a tweet, so I followed her and she'd followed us, so I was able to send her a private message, and I says, "Listen, Mary, like, I think that's amazing that you even know our band, because when I was a teenager, like, my early rave days were going to Fury Murray's and the Tuxedo Princess and the Riverside and Heaven. I used to go to their unders and the Source that used to be on in Muirhead Public Hall, Christen Public Hall, and up at Our Ladies. So I used to go to all these raves when I was away. Mostly it was Fury Murray's unders, and like, from the age of 13 to 17, that was my baptism of musical going out, experiencing it live, and Ultrasonic, TTF, Q-Tex, QFX, the Rhythmic State, Carol Cox when he was the triple deck wizard playing Christmas parties in Furies for a $5 and stuff. But I just absolutely loved all of that, and I'll never forget just being completely in love, like a teenage crush, and besotted with Mary, and she'd be up on that stage with TTF, and that's permanently fixed in my mind. So I condensed that and didn't make it too creepy on the direct messaging on Twitter. Anyway, I got her address out of it and I sent her over some Dijon merch, and she ended up she took pictures next to the Sydney Opera House and took her Yellow Movement tote bag to whoever the Sydney big football team is and the A-League and stuff like that. And we just began this Twitter relationship, as you do a lot of the time. Then she was coming back for a Christmas, and I said, well, we'll put you on our guest list if you want to come along to our Christmas gig. One of the two that we sold out St. Luke's, so it would either been 2015 or 2017. And she came along, so we saw her in the crowd. John started up dance off. John was like that, right, Mary, come on up. And she was pretending, I think, that she didn't need encouragement, but she came up anyway. She took one of the mics and then she just blasted through a TTF medley, and she was absolutely amazing. Best singer on the stage all day.
Best singer I've ever been on a stage with. At that moment, that was the moment I was like, we need to get Mary Keane on a record, because she came up and sang Real Love, which we were doing, as we always do, that start a dance off, loads of dance classics, and to hear like a singer with that level of talent, it was just unbelievable. It's like, hats off, do you know? Like,
she's such a lovely woman as well.
She's amazing. Just a total character, not just lovely, but just a character, like just amazing person, like just so much fun.
You must think that's obviously, like, everything else aside, man, that must be why you do this. See, like, to get that opportunity, you must go, right, this is fucking all worth it, because you know it's obviously you guys have been doing it for a long time, but sometimes there's a bit of a slog doing gigs you maybe don't want to do and all that, and then you get to those moments, you must go, fuck, it's worth it.
Aye, you know big time. And I think me and David are, you know, if there's an opportunity where it's like, right, where I don't know if it's just our age or whatever, but me and him are just like, fucking let's get it up, or let's do it, you know, we need Mary Keane on this record, let's make it happen. And
don't
you
ask,
know,
you'll get. That's
exactly. And 9 times out of 10 it works out. And you know, the disappointments that you get along the way where things don't work out, when the good things happen, it makes it worthwhile.
Excellent. Okay, then we'll go through this album then, track by track. Just quickly, we'll go through some of the comments. And I meant to put this one up earlier. David, you'll be able to just hit us with something straight away for Craig. Guys, what's your go-to Spotify playlist for new Scottish music?
I'd check out some of the ones John has made. John's put a lot of time and effort. What name are they under, or where are they, John? Because you've done that one for the Barrowlands from 84 to 89?
I've basically, because of the Barrowlands book that me and David, but it was before we ever played it, but we were just aspiring to play there, and they're basically two or three guys like Gareth Fraser and I think Alec Downey and a couple of other folk were involved, but they got all the records of who'd played the Barras, and they got the support act. So I've made up Barrowland gigs 1983 to 1989 is one of them, and I've done Barrowland 1990 to 94. And what I've done is went in and tried to find. And the lucky thing is most bands are on Spotify, even obscure bands you've not heard of. But initially when I done it, I was like just picking my favourite song, and then I went back and I was like, no, it has to be more authentic than that. It has to be for that time. But like the opening like 5 or 6 bands that played the Barrowlands were like Simple Minds, and then Run Rig supporting Big Country, The Clash, Simple Minds, James supporting the Smiths, Susie Sue and the Banshees, Aztec Camera, The Cure, The Go-Betweens, back to Aztec Camera, it's Echo and the Bunnymen, Depeche Mode, and it get like that, and that goes on. There's and some of the acts you've not heard of are like Sensational, and then you get into a bit of Marillion and the Pogues, and maybe some stuff you're not into, but then like, you know, New Order appear, and you're just like, it's given me a new appreciation, because I was a child of the 80s, but I was a child, I was only hearing what was on the radio, and the music made then, it's got something special that it's nice to tap into this playlist. So Barrowland gigs 1983 to 89 and 1990 to 94. I've not went beyond there yet, but I will.
Craig, just to directly answer your question, because I know you did say new as well, but I wanted John to talk about it because I know how much time and effort he'd put into it, and the Barrowland is our spiritual home. Spotify is probably the biggest and most popular new Scottish music playlist. Check out the King Tut's Wawa Hut International Women's Days playlist. That's phenomenal. You can just go on and just marvel and really, really enjoy all the amazing female talent that's coming out of Scotland right now. Mayah, Herlihy and Sylvie are on that. We've got some pals. Our pal Craig Gornall, John was on his podcast recently. He does a playlist called Alive and Amplified. Scottish Indie Podcast is great to check out. That's my pal Andy Ross. I was on his first episode of that. The Brave Child has got a playlist as well. Tenement TV have always got great music on their playlists. There's quite a lot, mate. If you've taken a note all of them, Craig, great. Just ping me a message. I can put them down if you've missed them and give you some more recommendations, mate, after this.
Excellent. Craig's also saying he went to see Pelikan Rogue, Seaside Sons, the Ronains, and Colonel Mustard and the Dijon 5 in the same bill. Sorted. I actually think we were near enough in the same bill live at Troon, but yous were in the big room. We were in the wee rooms, but we actually got to see you, so that was good. So that would be a cracking gig. And
that was good. The two, when they done the two kind of stages thing going through. I just get too steaming it live at Troon though.
I know. That's when I first seen that Cross the Road tune, which we'll come to as well. I thought that was amazing what you do with the crowd there. That was magic. That's the song by Bazza Mills, the photographer as well that Skimmer was talking about.
Bazza,
says you're looking good.
Evening, Bazza.
Love you, Bazza. I hope you're good.
Yeah,
love you, bro.
The Noel to Skimmer's Liam is on tonight. Congratulations, the chart position, really good album, well done.
Cheers, Craig.
Kieran Fisher's away of his dinner.
That
really
late, Kieran.
that.
Aye.
Really enjoyed
You're no sleeping night having your dinner this late.
Aye, shouldn't do that, mate. You're not going to get a proper sleep if you're eating this late.
Yes, I know. Right, excellent. Let's go into the album then. So it's the Difficult Number 2 album from Colonel Mustard and the Dijon 5. The way we're going to do it is myself, Skimmer and Andy, I've just took the album like we do every week in the podcast. We listen to the album all week and then we rate it out of 10. We rate the songs out of 10. We've got wee notes on them and stuff like that. We try and be as honest as possible because we want to put the album into our chart because we've already done 41 albums. So we want to see where it sits in the chart, and we want to do this for other albums as well.
So we're not allowed to vote then?
I've got it in my head that he's David's already done an album that everyone's 10 out of 10.
Aye. David would probably, I don't know how you would rate it, but
well, where yous would come in is obviously yous are going to tell us track by track, like what the album's about, how it was written, like some trivia about it as well.
Aye.
And I give a score as well on it, and we'll add.
No, you can't take that. You can't take
well,
the
I'm not
band
taking your
score.
score, but I want to see.
Oh, right, it's tens.
Aye, 10. And we
You've got to believe
Fives all the way. Fives all the way.
We also gave the song out to 3 other guests and that we've had and folk that watched the show, just taking a listen to it and give us a rating as well, and they've gave us a rating, so that we've got the 4 that we need to go with every other album that we've done. We'll be doing this again with Medicine Men in a few weeks, and I'm sure there'll be other bands as well. So I really appreciate you guys letting us do this. The same to Medicine Men when we do that as well. It was David that actually suggested doing it as well. So I think this will be pretty cool, and it'll be cool for all the guys. I love it when like a favourite artist of mine like brings an album out, like Biffy Clyro did it no long ago, and Noel Gallagher, who's my god. They go in the radio and they talk about each track, and it's very interesting. You get to know things that you maybe didn't know, and it prompts wee stories about the band. So. So before we get straight into it, David, it came out last Friday. You've got some numbers for us. A phenomenal week.
Yes.
In the charts. So give us some numbers.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So this evening's first week's release chart results sent to us by the gaffer from Button Up Records, Gary John Kane. Shout out to Gary. Love you, brother. Thank you for all the amazing hard work you've done on this one. This is for you. Number 1 in the Amazon Music main charts bestsellers. Number 1 in the Amazon Music Indie and Alternative bestsellers. Number 6 in the iTunes Alternative charts. Number 11 in the official Scottish charts. Number 25 in the iTunes main charts. And number 82 in the official UK charts.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable, boys. Unbelievable.
Thank you. Listen, see, before we go on to dissecting the album, as I'm not one of the creators of it, Kirsten Badges McNair has put a comment on there. Do you want to pull that up? It's the last comment.
You know what I'm like when I get listen, I'm only 5 beers deep the new Kirsten, so just wait till later on. You know what I'm like.
Kirsten, is there room? Would Kirsten be able to join us if she wants to, if she's not too busy watching the boy, Archie the dog?
Yeah, let's get Kirsten on, yeah. Yeah, just send her the link.
Kirsten, I'll send you the link if you want to join us, please. That would be good, so you can talk about how the album's been made as well.
Brilliant.
That'd be great.
Excellent. So I think what we'll do...
She's away to do her makeup then now.
Well, we're going to be on for a while, Kirsten, so take your time.
You'll be all right. I think what we'll do is we will play our clip of the track, as we usually do, and then we'll talk about it and then give our scores. So the first track of the difficult number 2 from Colonel Mustard and the Dijon 5 is GT Part 1. Here's a wee clip.
Said do not kill and love your neighbor. Let us take you on a journey into outer space. Looking for a way now to save the human race. Take you on a journey, set your phasers to start.
Okay then, GT Part 1. John, tell us a wee bit about this song.
So
this one.
So the person that wrote the tune was my cousin Gary that I started the band with that plays bass now, but Gary writes like one absolute fucking tune a year. He probably could write one a week if he could be bothered, but he can't be bothered. So you get one a year, one every couple of years off him that's like, do you know, he comes in and it's like pretty much fully formed, other than the guys like making it, do you know, taking it to that next level. So he brought it down to the wee studio that we shared with like quite a few bands just in Glasgow, and like the Rain Experiment and the Hollows and stuff like that. And it's an old like seminary type school where I don't think it was priests, but whatever the kind of Protestant equivalent is, where they used to go and train. So it was in the basement there, and I don't know, we wrote 2 or 3 of the songs for the album in there, and that was one of the first ones that it was like Big Craig just right away got a fucking banging drum beat on it, and then I think Greg got a good horn part that the other guys like Kirsten and Nicola got on. I might be wrong with all of this because you've got your own memories, but how things actually happen, like when you actually get into it. So all of this is with a major disclaimer because it's, you know, you're just in the moment. But as soon as he played it, it just took me into the outer space world, and also a wee bit like, you know, I think climate change and the fact that the environment's so fucked and we really need to do something about it. It's in your consciousness all the time. So, but it's something that I think if you were to overdo it with it, you know, ram it down people's throats in a song, sometimes I'll listen to something like that and it can get a bit cheesy or a bit over the top. So from my point of view, I just started writing lyrics, and then when it went for almost like a nice prog rocky thing, a total rock and roll. I could hear like AC/DC and stuff like that, but with horns. And at that point, I just went full on, just rock and roll. And I think I was probably watching Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff like that with my kids as well. So they sort of 70s soundtracks were in my head as well. And also that watching the Marvel movies. Well, hi, Kirsten.
Hey, Kirsten.
Yay!
Hi.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I need to come on just to make sure they don't talk about pish.
Aye, right. So that was my thing. I was just like, that's where the music took me. I sort of got off the planet to try and save it type vibe, and that's where I went with the lyrics. But then when I wrote the backing vocals, I was like, we need to make it fun, something folk can sing back. So that bam-a-lam, yeah, come on, just, you know, the classic rock and roll phrases. And aye, that's where I'm at. Kirsten, what's your memories of writing GT?
Kirsten, sorry, before we go, what's your Dijon 5
just
pseudonym?
very loud. Hang on a second, I can't really hear very well.
Kirsten's Dijon pseudonyms Badges.
Badges.
I know, I just put Kirsten up. Sorry.
Are you doing some
I
kind
just remember
of...
it being really loud. Sorry, I'm having trouble with the
No
sound
bother,
at the moment.
Mum. I just remember it being really loud.
Get some headphones, you'll be sound.
I know that's
Don't come on acting like a nana or something that's really loud.
That wasn't very rock and roll there, Kirsten.
It was that
I just remember it being very loud.
Music. It's that bang bang music, and I just put some trumpet over it.
Skimmer, Skimmer, what did you think of the track? We'll talk about.
I gave it an 8, right, because I didn't want to go in too hard and give it a 9 or a 10 at the start, right. I just wanted to go a bit easy in, but the more see when I listened to it there, that wee snippet through the headphones, I heard the wee kind of outer space thing in my left ear, and the way it sat was totally different to what I've heard. See, I was telling you that earlier when I was listening to it through the headphones. I was hearing bits that I hadn't heard before, and then that bit come on there, and I was like, "Oh, that's amazing." The production quality of that is the way it sat. So I gave it an 8, and I liked the way the tune started and then the complete direction change. I love that in a song.
Yeah.
And it's just a strong start to the album. I gave it an 8, but it's maybe a bit harsh on it. To be
Cheers,
fair.
mate. No, it's good. And it's good.
No,
And
we'll go for
we're
that.
we're public.
Thank
we're
you,
public,
Jason.
so we're 3 public voters gave it an 8 as well. So an 8 out of 10.
A consistent
as well.
8.
Consistent
At the time, I think it was when we first started recording. I might be wrong with this as well, but it was just when NASA made everything that they've done public domain. So it's like you could use. So I think Gallagher, producer, was like, I think it was him that was like, do you know about this NASA thing? And I was like, no, fucking, it's like, aye, just go for it, go to town with it, man. And he did.
This NASA thing.
I never heard it. I've listened to the album 3 times, and then I've never heard that bit just until there. And I was like, fuck, that's amazing, just the way it sits, the way it came in the left ear.
So I didn't know about that either, so I'm learning something here as well. But just to be a Dijon fact nerd about it, do we know what space mission it was?
At the very end of the album, and I only heard this the other night for the first time, I think it says Apollo 11.
Right.
But I might be wrong on that again, but at the very end on GT Part 2, it's like, I'm sure it's Apollo 11 that it says. I don't know.
Andy gave...
so that was the first one then.
Andy gave... He's not put any notes, but Andy, who can't make it this week, he's in the podcast every week. He does all the production side of things as well, which so I'm trying to do about 3 things at once tonight. So
you're doing well, mate.
He gave it a 7 out of 10. I would have liked notes for that.
Here's Andy.
Aye, fuck you, Andy.
7.
Your production values are shite. Scott is doing a much better job without you tonight. I'm giving you a 6.
He's usually got good notes as well, but he's not giving me
Andy's the guy that normally comes on and goes, do you know that track was absolutely amazing, totally loved it, 6 out of 10. So a 7's good for him, by the way.
Well, if that's Andy's, we'll allow it then.
I've kind of put down the trippy start is cool. It reminded me of the Noel Gallagher tune, "Girl with the X-Ray Eyes" in his second for last album. That kind of, but then he got that for Bowie. So so you've got that kind of.
Gary's probably more of a Noel fan than he is a Bowie fan. Although I might be wrong in that, but I know he's a Noel fan.
Somebody commented earlier saying there's definite Bowie vibes about this track.
And do you know what? I like it as well, the start it, because so the thing with me is with Colonel Mustard the Dijon 5, I had to put myself into what type of band you were, right? So
I still don't know.
But I'm thinking song number 1 in the album, because I really like the way the songs have been structured as well, how they've been set out. I don't know if it's deliberate. We can go on about that. We can talk about that. But
that was about 2 months worth of me calling and Greg arguing. Aye. Not arguing, but getting it to.
It is pretty cool how it starts, kind of like it's like it's starting to introduce you into the band's world. It's just that nice trippy kind of bit. And then I've called it breakdown, but it's actually the break up kind of thing. Then it goes into this. The horns come in, loads of things happening. A lot of songs with the band, like loads of stuff's going on, but it's so well structured and put together. There's space for everybody, and this is the start of that in the album. This is the start where there's so many instruments, so many things going on, but it's well structured that everybody's got a bit of space, and you've got the fun of Colonel Mustard and the Dijon 5, and I just thought it was a really, really good start to the album. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. There's obviously there's better songs in the album for me, but a really solid start to the album, and I liked the way it was structured. So the score for that is really high start, 7.63. So in an hour, 7.5 for a start's good. It's a 7.63 is the for GT Part 1. We'll now go to, I think...
There's cussing away, by the way.
I think she's maybe the sound sorted out or something. I think she was maybe having issues with the sound. Let's go to song number 2 of the album. This is Peace, Love and Mustard.
Right here, yeah, peace and love and mustard. Right here, yeah.
Excellent. What we got in this one then? John. Like, see
So-
this song. Has this song been about for a wee while? Like, where have the for this song here? Was this written for the album, or has it been? Have you had it for a while, then redone it for the album?
I'll start just on the picture
Sorry,
because that was an interesting synchronicity there. So the peace, love and mustard phrase was invented by me, and it comes from my tattoo. So I've got peace, love, and the anarchy symbol, which comes from the Greek anarchos, which means without ruler. I then added John Lennon's self-portrait from his Spaniard in the Works book. But the peace, love and mustard, it comes from that. So 3 is the magic number. We all want peace and love, and I kind of took that from John's quote where, I'll paraphrase, but he said he was being questioned annoyingly by those horrible, really posh interviewers that used to get back in days gone by. And he was being as if like, oh, well, you were the figurehead of the flower power movement and it failed. So the 60s was a failure. So everything that you were connected with, basically, by proxy, the antagonistic interviewer was trying to say was a failure. And John turned around and he went, yeah, okay, so flower power stopped in the 60s, but that doesn't mean to say that peace and love finished then, because peace and love are eternal. We all want peace and love in our lives. And we do. We maybe don't explicitly come out and state that openly every single day, but like basically those are two intrinsic things that we need in our lives: peace and love. The third one, anarchy, for me, just because I believe in that and being a bit of a punk and all the rest of it, I went for that. But became Mustard through the band, obviously because of the band, and also it's really like a synonym. So whatever's the most important thing for you in your life at the time, or whatever it might be, and it can obviously be more than 3 things, but peace, love and family, peace, love and happiness, peace, love and music, peace, love and mustard. It's peace, love and mustard for us. That's our anthem, and that's our motto, if you will. And John took the rest of it over from there.
Aye, it definitely came from David. Like even signing out on emails or just to people like saying that's it stuck in my head. So that's how he gets a wee credit. This is the one credit he gets on the album. It's on.
I need to join PRS now.
Aye, you'll get about 10p a month. But it's everything David said there, spot on. It's whatever your mustard is, but we first started playing this up in Dixon Street Studios. Our pal John Anderson and Disco Colin, who joined the band, were running at the time, and it was Chris Grant who just started playing the guitar riff, and I think probably something David, that just phrase that David kept saying or signing off in emails must have been in my head, and that's what I started singing. And then Kirsten, Greg and Nicola came up with this amazing horn part, and it's a total buzz. Like when you're playing live and they do that part, it's like it's one of the musical moments that's like a rush, because we do the first part that's like total just singing do 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 do, and then the next time they come in and see when they nail it, it's just one of the best feelings, because usually by that 9 times out of 10. But
Kirsten, what's your give us a wee bit of trivia or your thoughts on the second song, Peace, Love and Mustard. You any stories about the recording of that, or your thoughts on the song?
It's one of those ones that it's such a great horn part. Like when you get a good riff on the horn section, it just brings everything to life. And I don't know, honestly, see when it comes, and I'm no lying, but I see when it comes to recording, everything's a blast to me. There's no point asking me to do the recording and everything like that. I can't remember. I think I'm so traumatised when it comes to getting in the studio. John, I tell you, I just turn into a complete diva. Like, I get really quite
Diana Ross. She demands more pencils.
I want to do it right, and I don't want to do it 100 times. So I don't know. Yeah.
You're not that much
Nah,
a diva.
That's the
I
pressures of
suppose
the
it
studio.
depends. I suppose it depends on what song it is.
Well, my memory when we first recorded Peace, Love and Mustard is you nailed that pretty quickly. That,
Yeah.
the three of you.
I'll go with that then. Aye, we'll go with that then.
Aye.
I thought they copied the keys part, Colin saying.
Jason, your cell phone.
How you doing, Colin?
Your cell phone, Peace, Love and Mustard. What notes?
Well,
you
this
got
is
on that?
actually one of my favourite tunes, to be honest. I gave it an 8.5. I've put in my notes here: catchy chorus, funk and soul vibes. I love the breakdown where it breaks down and then you bring it back again, and then it goes up a level when you bring it back. I find this with your songs, right? That see the repetition in them is the key. So like there's always a line somewhere in your songs that you always repeat. And I've been at your gigs and the crowd always sings that back. And I think that's what makes the songs and the live shows. It gets the tune stuck in your head. That repetition, it gets them stuck there. Do you know what I mean? And I've also put Custom the brass section in this tune's top drawer. So there you go.
Aye.
I like in the lyrics, my favourite kind of lyrical bit in this, because I don't usually do it live, is when I'm singing about like Wall Street occupiers, which in climate change denials, open up your eyes, and then it goes right to and love. And I don't know, there's something about that, and that it makes me happy when I hear it back, because it was just kind of ad-libbed, I think, at the time, and gals kept it in for a reason, and aye.
Brilliant. The public, I'm saying the public, this is the three folk we go at, they liked this as well. They've given it an 8 out of 10.
Cool.
As well. So that's
consistent.
Skimmer 8.5, the public 8. Andy, he went 7 again in this one. I can see the tunes that Andy's into. See anything that's got a really, really cracking bass, you'll find that Andy's going to give that a higher score. He's such a he's
in the bass players union.
Oh, he's in the bass players
union.
He'll
like funkier than funk then.
So for me, the first thing I came up with was it's the kind of the primal scream chords. And it's the same chords I've used for a Pelikan Rogue song called Anchor Lane. That same kind of chord progression. You did it better than I did, obviously. But this is it's peace, love, and mustard. I love how the mustard can be anything. I love your thing with that. This is a very sunny, bright song. Like it reminded me of Marchiba, like the band Marchiba.
Yeah, love Marchiba.
They've got that kind of, like Marchiba always seemed to play in the sunshine. Like their music videos, everyone was like bright and fun and happy. So that hanging on, very catchy as well. I did feel that it was, when I was listening to it, I was like, this song could maybe be shorter. But then your vocal in the outro is outstanding.
Aye.
Like
I agree with that. Sometimes you think that about a tune that you could maybe shorten it. I've done it, and then when you realise where it's going, you can't shorten it.
You can.
So it just needs to be that length.
Yeah.
On the single version, it's a lot shorter because it felt that way. But with all the album songs, we're like, we know there's good bits that you want to kind of get out there as well. It's probably not. But probably it's not a good tactic. But at the same time, if it's something you're into, that you're like, do you know, and you've brought out a single, you're as well shown another side to your song.
That's it.
I'm a big fan of that, having a shorter single version of a tune, and then when it's on the album, it's the extended version of where you want the tune to go.
Aye. But I loved it as well. I gave it an 8. So I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Cheers, Scott.
And the score,
thank you, Scott.
7.88. So that's my favourite at the moment.
We're only 2 in though.
But I'll tell you,
more to come.
This wasn't my. See when the next song come on, Cross the Road. Like I've heard Cross the Road. Like that's the song that I've heard, the video and all that, and I've seen it live and everything. But I'm just thinking of folk listening to this album where they're like the amount of genres that's in it. So you've got these first two songs, and then Cross the Road comes on, and you're like, what the fuck's happening here? Like it just goes totally different. And we're that used to hearing albums in this where like they've meticulously made sure like if there is different genres in it, it kind of. But this just goes straight to like bang.
You certainly couldn't pigeonhole this band into a genre. That's a certainty.
Absolutely superb. But here we go. This the classic live tune, Cross the Road. This is song number 3.
Cross the road, cross the road, cross the road, cross the road. We're gonna cross the road, cross the road, cross the road. Whoa. Cross the road, cross the road, cross the road, cross the road. We're gonna cross the road, cross the road, cross the road. Look left, look right, look left again. If there's nothing coming, cross the road, my friend.
So, Kirsten, did you write this song for being live? Like, did you have in your head, right, what we're going to do here? We're going to get this crowd to split it in two, and we're going to make this the kind of the thing that fucking folk talk about. I knew about this song before I knew about you guys. Do you know what I mean? That's the band that did the song where the whole crowd and they split up, and then the guy, the singer, jumps off the fucking stage and comes into them.
Hold my hands up. I've crossed the road several times at your gigs, by the way.
You have.
I've crossed the road a few times.
There was never a plan like that. I don't know how that happened, but it just happened.
Mm-hmm.
It happened for the very first time we played it, and it was before at Knockingorrick. The weekend we first played Liverpool Sound City as well, and the song probably wasn't quite ready, but I was like, we're fucking playing this live, this is a tune. Mm-hmm. But it started off as a song that I just sang to my kids, to like a road safety song to cross the road.
That's
but then
really cool.
Cause the guys love their reggae and ska and all that, so I came into the studio one night and Chris was playing like a total like reggae ska kind of thing, and I was just started singing the same thing I'd been singing to my kids for months, and it worked. But then I don't even think that was the final thing, because I was like, the next time I came in I was like, can we do that song again? He's like, no, that was a Toots and the Maytals song that we were doing, and I was like, but it sounded fucking great, and he was like, aye, but it wasn't ours, and so I had to wait until they were doing like something that I was like, is that fucking Toots? And he's like, no, this is. I'm like, right, well, this is it. Cross the road. And then we played Knockingorrick, and I just announced it on the stage, and the band were all like throwing me daggers and like, we're not fucking doing it. And I was like, ladies and gentlemen, this is a song, and I want you all to go to it. And see, when they started crossing the roads, the band were right into it, and I was just like, listen to the Colonel. Fucking.
I know. Sometimes it's just a bit convincing.
Aye. Is it one, David? Is it one you look forward to in the set there, Cross the Road, when it comes on? Which song when you are? Is there a song in this album that you play that you like? I can't wait. Like, I know with me when I'm playing live with yourself, Skimmer or John, obviously there'll be a song that I can't wait to do this. Is there one for you, David? Is this one of them?
Well, the songs that we've played before, definitely. I mean, all the ones that I can just jump off stage and get into the crowd somehow. I love. But my favourite song on the album, I've said this to John already. My favourite song on the album is "We Are the Dinosaur" and "We Are the Meteor." And I really cannot. I mean, I know we're going to come on to this. We were chatting in the backstage virtual green room before we came on about it, but I really cannot wait to see how live audiences are going to get down for the reggae into the dubstep breakdown in this, because I really love dubstep, I have to say, and I never thought I'd be in this band and we'd ever have a song that would remotely resemble dubstep. So
I can't wait to get to that song.
After listening to this album, nothing fucking shocks me, to be honest with you.
Aye, that's so Cross the Road. Jason, what have you got for that?
Cross the Road, and I gave it a 7, right? And I'll tell you why I gave it a 7. See, live, I'll give it a 10. right? Because I've been in that crowd. I just felt the recording didn't do the song as much justice as I'd like it to done, and that's. But I've seen the song live, and I think it's fucking brilliant. But I just thought the recording was maybe not as good as I was expecting it to be.
It was the most live. What's that, Kirsten?
The recordings of it, remember? Was it the album recording or was it still?
The album recording. I just felt it was because I think I was maybe spoilt because I've been in that crowd crossing the road, and I was like buzzing to hear it, and I was like, it was good, but
I don't think a song like that you're ever going to top how you do it live.
It, can you?
But also Craig, who plays drums, he was like, we were too fast, and it's like, well, you were too fucking fast, dude. But it's the most live, that in Country is Muck or Country is Fuck, depending on if you've got the vinyl or the CD. It's the most live that it's been recorded, and we had the Castle Milk Youth Choir in singing on it, so it felt like close to what you could do live. But Cross the Road is just a live song. You're just never going to hit. I don't think anyway, unless we recorded it at the Barras like a few weeks ago, and that's probably closer to what it should be. But you almost need that full crowd to go. That is it. I don't think we've nailed Cross the Road yet. And
genuinely live, it's a 10 for me because it's like everybody. I remember it was live at Troon. We played earlier in the night, so by the time news were on, I was fucking steaming, right? So I'm in the crowd, and that way, I can't dance or that. So when I'm on stage, I just stand still, right? I can't dance. I don't have an instrument to play. And I'm standing there and I'm kind of fucking tapping my foot like that, and I'm like that. Then next thing I'm away crossing the road. Even Pav, our guitarist, is a crabbit bastard, right? And he's crossing the road, and I'm going, what the fuck is going on here?
I love that about Cross the Road, though. Like folk that don't dance are doing something and they're enjoying themselves and just being a big kid again. That's
exactly what it was like,
You're a bigger, see in a gig, you're a bigger fan if you don't cross the road. There you go.
Correct.
It's one of these songs that, oh, fuck, everybody's doing it, I've got to do this. And then you just love it. So, let's see what Andy gave it. Andy, simple but just great fun. Cross the Road, 8 out of 10. So that's Andy's best so far. The public, 9 out of 10.
There we go. I've been too harsh on it.
I think a lot as well. I think a couple of folk have been to Colonel Mustard gigs as well and seen that. I've just wrote what's not to love about this, especially because I've experienced it live, and I do agree it's definitely a live track, a live track, and it is brilliant live as I've already alone. As a standalone tune, I'm loving the kind of the beat through it. I'm loving. I also love how you've just totally fucking done it in the album. Like it's just come in like out of nowhere. It's like wow. Like if I wasn't into yous, I just think that is really cool how you've done that. The musicianship's brilliant in it because I think it's quite hard to keep a beat like. See, to keep a beat like that and keep it going and grooving along great, you need to be really tight to do that and like bring some instruments in and out and stuff like that. And that recording is spot on to, all right, the recording could maybe be a wee bit pumpier, like you get it live, but it's live, it's like on point all the time as well. It just keeps you in that groove. But the best bit I like in it is John's Ricky Gervais Equality Street lyric, that dilly do dally bit. You ever seen the Ricky Gervais?
I've seen the quality.
Oh, so
I
loved it.
It's brilliant that.
It's when John gets the audience to try and sing that part.
Aye, so good.
I've been in a crowd at Eden one night doing that, or like one day doing that for like 15 minutes. Until somebody finally got it, and it was like the biggest cheer ever. But I'm proud of that lyric. I don't think MD's ever written that lyric before. Anything that's unique, I'm proud of. And don't dilly dally, or you'll drive me do lally. Let the lollipop people be your pally wally. Just
that's
fucking.
I did put in my notes that this must be a universal first that our bands had an album track about the Green Cross Code.
I know. I've used it. I'm a primary school teacher, and I've actually used it in our school assembly.
It should actually be used.
That's
for
my favourite line. Is the "Don't drive me on there." I can't sing it.
Sing it,
don't
Kirsten.
Don't sound too well. A lot of pop people be a part of one.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
So the kids, that's always their favourite line because they can't say it. And they just fall about laughing. But yeah, I've used it in assembly.
We went through a wee window. Must have been after. Well, I'm guessing. Probably round about after we released it as the standalone EP. There was a double A side with Freedom for the Children, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Aye, and but it was my email on the band inquiries at the time, and we had the bones of a small Scottish tour of schools for Road Safety Week. With the amount of teachers and fans in the band that were also teachers that had messaged us saying, "Oh, will you come to your school and do Road Safety Week with that?" So we done a few, didn't we, Kirsten? We done yours.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you were in our school. Yep, wildest gig I think ever.
Brilliant. That's a good score. So 8 out of 10, guys. So the Pelikan Podcast have scored Cross the Road 8 out of 10. Live is definitely a 10 out of 10 because you do have to. It's one of these tunes that's built for live. It's absolutely tremendous live. So we're going on to tune number 4. I think the guys have went a water break. I'm going to do. I need to go for a water break as well after tune number 4. So David, if you want to come straight in after tune number 4, which is the Future is Funk.
Okay.
Funky as funk.
Funk.
Sorry, funkier than funk.
Funkier than
if you
funk.
want to come straight in with that, but here we go. Song number 4, funkier than funk.
Nothing funkier, yeah. Nothing funkier. Whoa, nothing funkier. Nothing funkier. Whoa, nothing funkier. I am you. You are me.
What can I say? We love our funk. What is funkier than funk? John and I went to see George Clinton play a 2 or 45-minute set at the ABC. It was a wild gig. There was just loads of people that we knew from the music community and stuff like that were there. It was just a total celebration of funk. But I mean, we love Parliament, we love Funkadelic, a lot of the other P-Funk bands, and right through even like the rap influence with G-Funk and stuff like that as well. And funk's just amazing. Like the Craig Charles Funk and Soul show and his club gigs that we've been to with the Funk and Soul powerhouse Tom Maguire and the Brass Holes and Shaka Loves You as well supporting. It's just a genre of music. I mean, we're all about the party and funk is all about the party.
Aye. There's no denying funk. It's like the natural progression of soul. And I think as well with all of the bands, it's just different level. Like Bootsy Collins playing with James Brown and Parliament Funkadelic, Sly and the Family Stone. But the good thing about this song was it just kind of started off as a jam, but then once the brass and that got involved, and I think it was Colin, in fact it was Colin that came up with the change, and I think the change in it almost takes it to like a Marvin Gaye type place. That's what I could hear as soon as he done it anyway, and it was like, right, well that's us. We've got a kind of, I don't know if it's a chorus or a bridge to a chorus, but when that change came in, because for ages we played it live, I think, and it was just more of a big jam. And then it was just like a wee and then when you guys, Kirsten, came up with it's just amazing when you saw that Barra's live thing back and like the effort and the total like power that's going into that is amazing. That's what it's all about. It's like total soul funk.
Said
And-
it goes to Nicola for a lot of the kind of like brass shifts and the funkier than funk. Because sometimes she regrets. She said, I regret it because of because it is still a lot of effort to play, but it's worth it. I mean, it brings a lot to the.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a song that's still getting better, I think. It's like it's not quite at its, even though it's an amazing, well, a good album track.
Mm-hmm.
It's still like live when we've been playing it recently. There's still more that you guys, like the brass, are bringing to it.
Yeah, I felt that with the song as well. I didn't know if you did it live or no, but it is one of the tunes that be really fun to play live, and like you can add and build, and like in 10 years' time it could take a totally different direction. The song, you know, which is
I can
brilliant
imagine
about
it's
music.
one of the tunes that you'll never play it live the same way twice.
Yeah. You can add lib.
Aye, we haven't.
Aye. Skimmer, what's your thoughts on Funkier Than Funk? No, you like a bit of funk.
I do like a bit of funk. I've gave it an 8. I like the backwards guitar bit in it. That's the bit I was saying. It's like very John Squire.
Yeah. I don't
So
know what.
I love a bit of backwards guitar, man. That's what really sold it to me. Like,
It was Gal, the producer, that suggested that, and Chris just started riffing. But I love when it gets to the end of that bit, and I know you've done a podcast on In Excess before. I don't think Chris was channeling In Excess, but the end part of that, that just reminds me of them. That's what I think of when it's at that point.
Oh, I love when In Excess get a mention. I love In Excess. Man.
fanboy.
But Chris will probably kill me for saying that. Do you know what I mean? Like that's not in his head, but that's what I think of.
Andy gave it I knew he'd score this. He gave it an 8. Public 7 for the public. For me, this is. I put that this is similar to the Peace, Love and Mustard tune, and the kind of uplifting vibe to it. The vocal again, John, was brilliant, absolutely excellent, and the backing as well that you get in that song. The backward guitar, that made me score this up a wee bit as well. I just like you, Skimmer. I love all that, and the tone of the guitar as well. I love the tone that you got out the guitar as well. So I gave it a 7.5. I am just funkier than funk. 7.63 out of 10. I'll just put that up there. So funkier than funk 7.63. I'll just write that because I'm having to write it as I go here. You don't get this in the word. 7.63. So that's a decent start to the album. It's the same score as GT Part 1, guys. So, and then we went into Peace, Love and Mustard, 7.88. 8 out of 10 for Cross the Road, and Funkier Than Funk, 7.63. So pretty strong start to the album as well. We're wanting to see where this sits in my Pelikan Podcast chart, which would be very interesting. David, your album is still Let It Be, still up there. You are one of your artists, John Rush. He's still at number 1 with Revolver, the album that he brought as well. So
brilliant. That is one of the. Arguably, a lot of people would go with Revolver as their favourite Beatles album.
Mm-hmm. But okay then, let's go to song number 5, Country as Muck.
I'm a country boy. Like a bit of country music. That's the way you choose it. I'm polluting, I've been shooting.
Tremendous. Isn't it, man? Okay. That's definitely one of the ones, because I hadn't heard that before. You had Funkier Than Funk, and then it was into what's this, man? what
Aye, where did it come from?
what we doing now?
That's what I was saying earlier, man. It's genre busting.
Aye. Join country as muck, and I take it in the vinyl it's country as fuck, and you've had to change it. Or tell us about that.
It's that thing that a lot of families got into us after the first album, but on the first album there's quite a few swearies and stuff no for Wayne's on it, but we didn't know that families were going to love our music. So for this one, we're like, well, we don't want to sell out where we're going, right? Well, we're just going to pander to that market. So with this song, we'll do country as fuck that goes on the vinyl that's a limited release, but when it goes out digitally and CDs that families can put in their cars, then it's country as muck. And I think both of them work. It's quite good. Like, you don't always need to swear to make your point, but it's another one. Gary came up with the title, my cousin, Gary's hilarious. He's got a twisted sense of humour, but he'll come up with a good title, and again, he came up with the music for it. But I love the horn parts on this one. Fathom's backing vocals are amazing on this as well. And I also love, we got John McKenzie, who's played with a lot of bands. He's played with the Holy Ghosts, and he's played on stage with Alabama 3 doing Slide the last time they played the Barras and stuff like that. And he's a mate I met just through just Glasgow years ago, but he's from Perth, but he moved back through to Edinburgh, and it was great to have him on the album because he's just one of the guys that's grafted as a musician, but he's also got into cool stuff like transcendental meditation and stuff like that, and went to India and done the pure Beatles Maharishi yogi trail and all that, and just a cool guy, John, but also what a musician. So I think he brought, and it's slide guitar, but it almost becomes a bit Hawaiian and that sort of bit. But aye, that's my take on it anyway.
I'm always interested. Every time I hear a song now, David, I'm interested to see what you do live with this one. What you doing with that?
Toilet break.
Aye, we've played this live a few times, and normally I've jumped out on stage and started just doing a wee bit of country dancing with a guy or a woman.
Aye, this is one way we go, right, you can have a slow dance.
Aye. So John preambles it with that, and then I just jump out and have a slow dance with somebody that's near me.
Aye, one of these days you're not going to come back.
This is true.
Kirsten, see, when it comes to the horns and all that in the songs, is it like you're like when you're in and you're writing the tune, like obviously mine and Skimmer's band's just the lead guitarist and that was it, and you've also got a lead guitarist as well, but I quite like how you use a lot of your songs, the lead part is like the horns as well, like you're putting loads of brass instruments in there. I just
how the lead guitarist that. With this song, if I remember, with the horn part for Country's Muck, I'm sure it's one of the ones that John decided to play when we're not quite ready. And we didn't have, I think it was just me. And I remember having to just make up this kind of horn part. I vaguely remember it. Correct me if I'm wrong, John. I just remember just jamming along to it, and I'm sure it was on stage.
Right.
I don't know. And that's where that kind of horn riff was born. It was
brilliant. Just off the cuff.
I can't remember.
That's what I've got in my head just now. It was just, I don't remember it happening in the studio. I'm sure it's one of those ones that just happens because it's late night gig. People are screaming, let's play this one, let's go for it. And I'm like, I don't have a part for this. Make something up.
Horns, and like it just totally lifts because you have got keys as well. Like, see, even like that's like hen's teeth, man. Like keyboards, horn, like it just it makes your whole experience, just lifts everything, doesn't it? It
Yeah.
just
Colin
puts-
tries to be a horn on the keys. He tries to key up and does it. He finds the trumpet on the keyboard string. He tries. He's never going to make my sound. Sorry, Colin. He's still there.
Alana gives Alana gives it an 8. Country's Muck. Let's see what the public gave it. Country's Muck. 7.5. Andy an 8 as well. Andy's went 3 8s in the trot here. Skimmer.
I gave it an 8.5.
Oh.
Woo!
8.5.
I love country music, man. It's a pure guilty pleasure of mine. My old man's right into his country music, right? But what I love about this is the pure tongue-in-cheek lyrics. But if you take the lyrics out, it's a fucking great country song. And then when you slot the lyrics in, it's like taking the piss a wee bit. So I like the tongue-in-cheek about it. So I gave it an 8.5.
And I've wrote it's very difficult to write lyrics funny, but like it is in it like trying to write a funny without being too cheesy. It's subtly done. There's nice wee bits in it. You've got to really listen as well to the funny bits in it. But as I said before, I was like, holy shit, country now, what's happening here? And I just was like, that's brilliant how they've done that. Aliens tried to abduct as I'm in.
Because I'm country as fuck.
That's it. Aliens tried to abduct. And
I love the fact that there are so many kind of Viz double entendres in it as well. But let's not forget the greatest, the man in black himself, A Boy Named Sue. You know, like he had comedy in his country songs as well.
That's what I'm saying. Like A Boy Named Sue is cleverly done. It's like a really cool story. It's got a dark undertone, but he's got the wee funny in your.
Set up really well and all.
Aye.
You see that lyric you were talking about, the aliens abduct? Why is it every alien abduction in a film is a fucking somebody for like southern state in America? Aye. Why is it? It's always for a fucking somewhere in a cornfield in fucking southern USA.
There's a tune. I'm trying to think of the tune that you did that I've wrote that about a visually. Like I've said it in a few tunes, like it's a visually good song. Like so you're lying back. Like A Boy Named Sue's the absolute like the top of that. You're lying back and you're seeing the story, but it's a right good tune with it as well. But I gave this an 8.5 out of 10, mainly because you did Funkier Than Funk and went straight into this. Like, and then I'm thinking, where else could they have put that in the album? I always look at that as well. Like, I know how it must drive you mad, like, where to put this, but you couldn't. Like, it's sitting exactly where it needs to be. It's absolutely brilliant, especially with what comes next. So that's let's see what the score we gave for that. 8 again. So we're high 7s and 8s just now. Let's see if we can get a song over 8 out of 10 with 4 A's. This is song number 6 in the album. This is Ted Dancing. I mean, even the name, even calling a song Ted Dancing. I think I mentioned that when we had it in the Pelikan 4 1 week. I'm like, fuck it, that's fucking brilliant, man. Ted Dancing, cheers, excellent. Here we go.
Dance like nobody's watching. Dance like you don't care. And if you bounce, bounce, bounce to the beat, 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 you can dance everywhere. You can dance anywhere. Dance like nobody's watching. Dance like you don't care. And if you bounce, bounce, bounce to the beat.
Here's Andy spelling dancing wrong. Ted Dancing, literally. We'll come to David. I can imagine this is one of your favourites to get.
Yeah, you can get a right good groove on with this one. I was having a wee laugh there at Kirsten's hat that she had on that day when we were in Greg's back garden. The wee umbrella hat. The wee umbrella hat was cool. Hopefully you'll have it back out again, Kirsten, for the next festivals. What do you want to play?
Aye, this is definitely definitely one Kirsten's horns are pretty prominent within. Like,
Yeah.
This is one you've got a good stamp on.
I am on record, and I've said it to Kirsten as well. My favourite part of that song is Kirsten's intro and outro on the horn. It's just solo, isolated horn. I think that's amazing.
And this was very popular when you brought it out as a single. This went down really well.
Number 7 in the Scottish charts we got.
Yeah. What about this, John? Like, what was the what made you write about that? Like Ted Dancing, where did that come into your head?
Ted Dancing was big crate. Like after we'd kind of got the song together, it was just Big Mogs, the drummer, just came out with Ted Dancing, and everybody laughed, and we're all like, most days are Ted Dancing fans. Some people probably don't know who Ted Dancing is in the band that are slightly younger, but the majority of people did, and it was just one of the things that it was like, and so the next time we went to play it, I included that in the lyrics, Ted Dancing. But it was, I had the melody just popped into my head, and I've got a recording of it for about 2 years ago where I just sing it into my phone. I've still got it there, and I took it to the band, and some of the guys, I think Kirsten, liked it, but maybe some of the guys, well, it's too poppy or it's shite that you get when you're in bands. Folk just go, that's shite. But if you're like, no, this is fucking, let's see, if you believe in something, you need to stand your ground. And I'm like, no, it's good. So I ended up, and I don't often play guitar, but I played it one night on the guitar and still came in, dirty looks off with some of the guys. It's pish. And then Colin one night started doing the wee kind of keyboard bit on it, and Moog started playing along to that, and then it was like, right, this is going to be fun. This is it, right? Just keep them jamming. I'll start singing. And then it developed, and then Kirsten came up with her amazing trumpet parts, and that ended up becoming the brass parts for it. So,
Kirsten, when you're on stage, are you jumping about? Are you jumping about, getting it louder with the trumpet? This is one I can imagine, like, kind of getting it louder.
Yeah, you've got to watch though, because you can't jump about too much, because then you run out of supper when you're trying to put an instrument.
I'm just saying, he'll kind of about running out of puffs like Skimmer there. Mr. Stone still.
Different type of puff.
Right, no, aye, fucking right, aye. I'm on this vape thing now, man. It's not quite cutting the mustard, but anyway. Hey!
I see what you did there.
Here all night.
I've wrote in this scene, such a catchy song, and I think it's because we've played it before in loads. I had it in my head that it's see the verse melody is brilliant, and then it goes into this really catchy chorus melody. So it was all about the melody in this for me, and I had it in my head that it might have been like two different songs that you maybe had. Was it? Aye.
It kind of was. Aye. The uncontrollably dancing bit, but it was like, how do we get from there to there? That was a quandary for a long time. How do we get from there to there? And I ended up going, I think it's a D that takes it in.
Aye.
And I'm like, right, well, I got the guitar one night, and eventually, because it was probably like 2 weeks, right, well, it's not working. And then I was like, right, well, it's a D. We need to fucking get to that point to combine it. But it was not well picked up on, Scott. Aye.
Because it's like I've got a song like that now where and I've done it with a couple of songs where I've had to, like, there's a bit that I just love and it needs to be in a song, but I can't get to the next stage, and then I wrote a song where fuck, I can get that in there in a totally different song, and I just heard it in that, like, because it's actually really clever. It's genius how it goes into that catchy chorus, and I seen it straight away with Ted Dancing, and because of that, and because I can imagine, and I'm glad you've said that, because it kind of makes my score, like, legitimises my score. I gave it an 8.5 because I thought of that. I thought that the band's had two songs there that, and they've probably been really, really strong to get somewhere, and then they've just managed to get this chorus in here, which is so catchy, which is the star of the song. But I really appreciate the verse and how it got there. So I gave it an 8.5. We'll come to you in a minute, Skimmer. Andy gave it a 9.
Wow.
The
Fucking
public,
hell, Andy.
public.
Sorry
gave it
for
9
swearing
as
at you
well.
earlier, Andy.
So,
Don't you get better
Yeah,
as,
no.
as time goes on?
Aye.
It
Are
gets
you,
better.
are you drunk now, Andy?
it's a 9, 8.5 for me, 9 for the public. I knew the public would like that because my wife was one of them, and she's right into her dance music. We were talking earlier about the Mary Kiani days and back for your rhythmic state and all that. My wife was a dancer with Ultrasonic.
Wow.
Back in the day as well, so she travelled all, like, just danced with them. So I knew she'd like that.
So you're punching then?
No, she's punching. Aye. But aye, that's Skimmer yourself.
7.5 for me. I know it's probably an unpopular opinion amongst
No,
Colonel
it's
Mustard fans.
Not at all. It's because you're a band guy, so you're like the
It's
guys
just
in
not-
my band that's too poppy.
It's just not my bag. Honestly,
Aye.
I can appreciate it's a good tune, right? It's just not my bag. That's all I can really say about it. Dance beats don't really date for me. But I did put in my notes, love the trumpet intro, and I know Cussins Away should be fucking raging. But that's what I put in my notes.
Maybe we'll see it before she comes back on.
It's the poppiest song I think we've ever written, but I think there's enough. Even see if you it's one of the ones every listen. There's a guitar riff Gary does. It's amazing. Like a wee do like almost like Stone Roses. There's John McKenzie's got one that's really subtle. That's like total rock and roll. So it's one with the headphones on that hopefully you'll get into a wee bit more. And also some of the beats that come in, it kind of changes where we go for like proper drums to like a drum machine and Mark putting in the beats. So, but it's a pop song at its heart, but hopefully it's quite a cool one where people can, dive in and out that are into good music.
I
as
did
well.
tell you it was an unpopular opinion. There's Alana calling me a ball bag there.
Well, it's a high score.
But the thing is,
score
some of the band members would score it as a 3. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
So that's like,
I love that though, man. Music, it's like it's subjective, isn't it? It's like
Correct.
and that's amazing that even people in your band are going, "Fucking hell, man, do I play this tune?"
Aye.
But it's clearly a popular tune, and it is a good tune. I've seen you playing it live and that, and I know it's great live. It's just not my bag.
aye. I think we're all into it now, but when it first started out, but now like Chris is doing like a chic kind of, so everybody's doing what they want to do within it. But
I think once you see the crowd's reaction to a tune, if you weren't into it and you go, well, fuck it, people are loving it. You'll probably get into it a bit more. Do you know what I mean?
Well, we got to play it at the fruit market, and it was the standout song that night. It was like fucking everybody went mental. It was just like, it's nice when you've got songs like Cross the Road and that, and then you bring in something new like that where there's a new energy and love for a song, and
That's what's good about having an album, though, right? Because you can do, we'll come to it later. The We Are the Dinosaurs song. You can do tracks in an album where, for me, when we come to that song, that's one where folk are going to get this or no. There's so much going on in that, and then you can put in your album. You've got like Ted dancing. You've got like Boys Out, like brilliant pop song. Everybody's going to love it. You must. So is Ted dancing? Obviously, it wasn't. Is there a song on the album, or is there ever a song you've done? I'll come to the two of you here, where you've written it and you've listened to music all your life, and you know that this is going to go well. Like, sometimes there's a song you do, like you have listened to music, you know what a good song is, you know what a bad song is. Is there a song where you've thought, this is going to be great, and it has been? Or is there one where you thought this is going to be great and it's not been doing so well? David, what about you in that? Is there anything in that for you?
Well, sometimes the first time I hear a song is when we're on stage.
Right.
So I just take the energy from that and just get 100% and see. In the live environment of a gig, there's very much a reciprocal giving and receiving of energy. And all you guys know, like, you've been on stage and you've been playing, and you can tell when people in the band are just phoning it in.
Yeah.
You can tell when, you know, the crowd just maybe aren't digging something that you do. Maybe that's like just a song or a whole set. And similarly, we've all been in a crowd when, you know, you're watching a band who are just phoning in their performance individually or collectively. So I just always think it's incumbent upon us to be the party, and everybody that's there is invited to it. So I love seeing every song go down live.
Yeah. John, is there like a song that you wrote and you go, this is definite. This is going to be off the scale.
I think all of this. I think it's one of my few talents that within the band is I've got a good ear. I've got a kind of a wee, you know, instinct for what a crowd will be into.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it comes to like Peace, Love and Mustard, Cross the Road, even when I first sang Ted Dancing Into My Phone, I was like, that's a fucking melody that people are going to sit like fucking sing to and dance to. Like, I've got an instinct for that, but there's times where I write a lot of other stuff that I know I'm maybe into it and other people might like it on some level, but it's not Colonel Mustard and the Dijon 5 standard, so it has to be that standard to make the cut of this band. Do you know what I mean? It has to be something folk can lose their minds to at festivals. So every song has to be, do you know?
For the band, of a certain type of song. It's got to, as David says, like you can't get away with, like your band can't get away with, like no enjoying. Like, can you imagine? Was it 12 years? Can you imagine 11 years on stage doing a song that you all don't want to do? It's going to show. You know what I mean? So that's a good point that you made, David. You're out there giving it 100%, and like that then feeds off the rest of the band and the crowd and all that, and they get up for it. Then that in turn makes the band love it.
See, having said that, like there's been songs off the first album where some of the folk weren't into them to start with, but ended up getting into them live. As do you know, where they're like, nah, that's shite. I think some people are just, I don't know, people can put up their own sort of psychological, you know, issues with things where.
I think people can get stuck in a genre as well, like.
But that's the beauty of music, and even like being able to play music. Eventually, they're broken down, and even if you can't get over why you initially hated something, it's like the beauty of music is it's fucking, you know, it's a tsunami of if something's amazing, if something's brilliant, no matter, you know, what music you think you're into or what tribe you're a part of, if something connects with you, then
you go with it.
That was my cross the road moment. Like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, do you know what I mean? But that's the one thing I would say. So there's maybe some people watching this or listening to this that has maybe not seen you guys live before, and I genuinely think I'm not detracting from the records at all here, but live, you really need to see you guys live to appreciate the songs more, if that makes sense.
No, totally, man. We're a live band. That's why it's taken so long to bring this album out, because we've gone, you know, we're busy people as well. We've got, but live is what we're all about, and live is the most important thing in music. But equally, you want to at least have a wee bit of something that folk go, oh, I mind 20 years ago we used to go and see that. Oh no, they've not brought out a record. You need to bring out the odd records.
Yeah.
But definitely, and that's one thing you touched on there. That's your legacy, innit? That's there forever.
Aye, totally, man.
Okay, then, so a great score for Ted Dancing. Let's go into song number 7. Where's my notes here? Song number 7, Gonna Be Myself, because that's who I am. Here we go.
With my child, gonna be myself, 'cause that's who I am. Go man up, 'cause I'm a man. Gonna be the man, that's what sexy says I am. Gonna be late night sexy in the master bedroom with the master plan. King size bed with the king size man. Won't
You have definitely nailed the disco funk. I've got to say that in the album. They're strong songs. Like you've got that tune, and what was the other one with it? Funkier Than Funk. You've that's a nailed on genre anyway. You've got that to a T. Tell us a wee bit about this one then. Kirsten, we'll go with you first.
This one, before we did the likes of Ted Danson, this was probably my favourite one to play on stage. It's one of those ones you can get right into. The horn section have got moves for it, and you can tell that we like funk in the band basically because it's one of our favourite genres.
Music's quite good. Again, another one that everybody's getting a show at there as well. John, you're selling this.
What's that?
I'm just saying to join yourself in this song.
All right. It's kind of... It's Chris Grant wrote this one, and then the Horns brought in their majesty to it as well. But this was kind of sort of what the concept of what the second album was going to be about. Like the line "Late Night Sexy." It was going. The second album originally was going to be like a concept album about sex, but an album where it was a warts and all, genital warts and all, like the worst and best parts of sex, like, do you know. And luckily, luckily that didn't happen. Not that I've ever genital warts, might I just say, but.
This is news to me.
This conversation has just made me sanitise my hands, by the way. I don't know why.
I think I might be joining you, Jason.
While Sean's making some revelations as well, did you know that like we were joking and talking about releasing the 5-track The Cunt EP for a while as well?
I would go into that, by the way.
That was country as fuck. There's no I in team, but there's a U in cunt. There was going to be another 3 songs that had cunt in them.
I'll see you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
See you next Tuesday.
That's 3 songs right off the bat, but there was a couple others. But originally it was like we were going down this road, and then we became this
dark road.
Sort of. No, but it was a funny, fun road. We were writing songs like old folks disco about like colostomy bags and wearing your glad rags and, you know, pulling off surgical stockings. Like that, it was a dark road. But it was
I wasn't at that band meeting.
It was a funny road, and then we became this big sort of family-friendly festival band, and then
I had to change direction slightly.
A lot of these songs, they're still there, and their songs will maybe do, but equally it was like, right. But that was the one song of that time that we've always played live, and then doing the woo and that came. I saw the Black Crowes one night doing. I think it was a Joe Cocker cover. I actually need to look this up on YouTube because a lot of folk are like, "Oh, Mickey Nines do woo, yeah," and I'm like, "No, it's like the reason that calling responses in it's because I saw the Black Crowes I stole it from." But actually doing a Joe Cocker song, and that stuck in my mind, and that's how when we done that, it was lit. And I think it's the one song. See, when we played the Barras recently, it's another one that's probably the best recording we've got doing it live because everybody's doing the woos and ahs, and whereas live, on the album. It sounds good. It's got a bit of energy, but it's another one that's like live. It's, you know, takes it to a different level.
You get a better feel of what the band's all about as well when you hear it live. Do you know what I mean?
I'll come to you, David. Just something that kind of got me there. You're talking about the crowd and the Barrowlands. What's the whole yellow feel and the yellow movement type thing? What's that like to look out on when you're in stage? Because I mean, all your fans like pretty much the crowds wearing their yellow t-shirts and all that kind of stuff. Where did that come from? Is it because of the mustard, or is there you get some big words to tell us about that I can maybe
Well, our first, no, I mean, we had our logo, which obviously is a very close comparison to a particular brand of food condiment. Although
HB sauce.
Aye. Although the first Liverpool Sound City I went down to, and this is why I've never made Knock and Gorrock, because I used to go down to the Sound City Plus conference on the Thursday and the Friday and stay down there for the band coming down. And there was some cracking stuff that I learned at those Sound City Plus conferences, but they also did these hot desking things that you could book in and get like a 20-minute slot, free advice from somebody, and one of them was a patent or patent attorney. I'm not sure how you say that first word, but anyway, I went down and I had a t-shirt and hoodie on, and I said to them, "Is this an infringement?" And then they said, "Well, here's the rules." And then we were looking at trademarking ours and music, because Coleman's Mustard wouldn't have music as a classification trademark. But the first t-shirts, so we went with them. Obviously, they were going to be yellow. It was my pal Stuart Sweeney's big brother Stephen and his partner at the time, Jane at T-Shirt Nation. We got our first ones done there. We got 50. They all sold very quickly, and then they'd all went. And then I just decided to get I thought it would be a good idea that, because people look at the backs as well, and also because I'm a massive football fan, I wanted to get Dijon and 5 put on the back. Mm-hmm. But I think the very first one was my band pseudonym, Dijancer 5 on the back. And then I went, listen, we should just do this with the rest of the merch, because let's be honest, it's advertising on the front and the back, and people will see people's backs when they're standing at a gig. So we had a heavy focus. Like, the money was there. Like, the money that we sold, we reinvested it back in our merch, and luckily people really wanted them. Like, there weren't, up until that time, and I used to have a wardrobe full. I'd banned t-shirts from every letter in the alphabet from A to Z at one point. And the only yellow band t-shirt or artist t-shirt I'd ever seen anybody wearing in all my lifetime of going to gigs was Radiohead on the OK Computer tour. It had a yellow t-shirt, and in the front it said 9 no null. And that was it. Like, nothing on the back end, nothing to even indicate it was a Radiohead t-shirt. But I just thought, well, do you know what? Like, yellow's our colour. We were involved with a number of other bands in the whole yellow movement, creative community, and I just thought it tapped into the collective consciousness that people subconsciously didn't know they wanted a yellow t-shirt. And then we had the alternatives, so we reversed it, and like, we had the black with the yellow writing, and the pink with the yellow writing, the purple with the yellow writing, and it just grew from there. And we always made sure that we took boxes and suitcases of merch to every festival and gig that we would go to. So at the end of every gig and festival, like, people knew they could get merch from us, and we were just pretty disciplined, albeit.
It's clever. It's clever marketing, though. Really clever marketing. You built the brand. You know, it's instantly recognisable when you see some. When you go to a festival, you can go like, "There's a Colonel Mustard fan." Straight away. Do you know what I mean?
It was a happy accident, a lot of that, but the clever part of it is having the Dijon 5 on the back, because when you're at a festival, you're looking that way. So there could be 100, you know, whatever Radiohead t-shirts looking at the stage, but nobody knows that. But they're seeing Dijon 5, and that's, you know, That's the thing that probably makes it bigger than and propelled it. But it was nice when we played up at the Wicker Man. We only got that gig because so many people had wore our t-shirt the year before. We were getting phone calls. Like, it was when it was that period where you're the biggest band in Glasgow, but you don't really know it and appreciate it at the time, like unsigned band, and you're getting phone calls going, "Oh, what time you was playing at, or what day you on? And it's like, we're not playing, we're not on Wickerman. And the next year, sure enough, it was like a booking for Wickerman happened.
Yep.
That's amazing.
2014 that was, and there was a tipping point as well. So just the first outdoor festival of the season normally for us has always been Eden Festival. And in 2014, I remember my pal Ben came up to me on the Thursday, and Ben had been to, like, I worked with him back in the day, and he was like all of our early gigs as well. After, well, I would just be, I think he probably came along to some of them with me when I was still in the crowd. And Ben works in the kids' fields as well at Eden and Kelburn and Doon, and he came up to me and the Thursday and he went, David, right, here's a wee experiment for you. See if you can go longer than 5 seconds this weekend without seeing yellow. And when I was conscious of it, I don't think I actually could. Like, just looking, Eden's like a small festival, so you can see a lot all around you at any time. And then every now and again, like, Ben and I have always had this thing where we would just like run and rugby tackle one another if we ever see one another at the festival, and have a roll about in the grass. And that was our thing throughout the rest of that festival. I would rugby tackle him and be like, look, yellow. And then he would do it to me. He was like, look, yellow. It was, it was just mental.
It's a great thing. It's part of your band now, and that's what I'm saying about the band. When I said it before, the crowd, you've probably got you've got the guys on the stage, but you've probably got a right good basis of fans that go and watch you everywhere, that wear the yellow and are totally part of your band, and then they bring everybody in. They meet folk at festivals and they go, "Aye, come and see the band we're into," and they just bring more folk along. And I love that yellow T-shirt you've got. It's so good. It's really cool.
We get a lot of people coming up to us as well who just say, we had to come and see you because we just saw your name on the festival lineup or whatever, and thought, right, they've got to be worth us. They've got to be worth watching. And that's actually how our relationship was.
Did they say why is Serge for Kasabian the lead singer when they look at the
Scott, it's Jeff Lynne from ELO.
He needs a perm. He needs a perm for that.
I'm the changing face of rock and roll. That's where that lyric comes from.
Brilliant.
So our relationship with Sean Keaveney on Six Music, that began when the Liverpool Sound City that we were playing on, when Big Horseface's music news journalist Matt Everett was reading out the lineup to Sean, and like, he takes a big deep breath and then he just batters through it. He's been battering through it. He said their name, and then Sean Keaveney went, "Whoa, wait, what did you say there?" He said, "Colonel Mustard and the Dijon 5. Sean started pissing himself laughing. He says, "That is the greatest band name I've ever heard." And then straight away, before he'd even finished saying that, I was writing out the envelope to him at Six Music. Like, right, send them stuff. And now, like, his whole family are into the band now. Like, he's 2 older kids, a wee bit younger than John, Evie and Charlie. The baby's got a baby grow and a bib. And I remember, like, his partner, we messaged her on Instagram, and she went and said that there was one day that the whole family went out to the park, because I'd seen her in a picture where she was wearing Sean's T-shirt, and I thought it looked too big for her. And I messaged and says, "Listen, we can send you down a T-shirt for your size if you want." And she says, "Oh, that'd be amazing." And she's like, she's been on Doctor Who, and like, she's a pretty famous actress in her own right as well. And so I'd messaged and says, "Oh, that was really nice. Thanks for the parcel, and thanks for the baby growing the bib for the new baby." Says it was quite funny. We were thinking about taking a picture and sending it to you, but we didn't want it to look as if we were being too stalkerish, because we realised everybody had decided what to wear of their own accord, and everybody was wearing their Dijon merch. So Sean, his partner, and his 3 kids had all went to the park. What a lovely sight that would have been if I'd have passed them.
I look at that from, like, obviously, like, I've got a used car dealership, and I'm very much about the brand that we've built with the car dealership, and I'm all about the marketing, right? And I look at what you have done with us and think it's fucking genius.
Thanks very much.
What colour are you going for, Jason?
Oh, just black and white, mate.
Black and white. What was your thoughts in going to be myself, because that's who I am?
Are we still reviewing the album, eh? Right.
That's what it's like with these podcasts. You always digress and get into great conversations. It's
Kirsten did warn you.
What tune are we on again?
7. Going to Be Myself because that's who I am.
8.5 for me. Love this tune. Funky, catchy, lyrically brilliant. I've wrote my notes there. So 8.5.
8.5. Public went 7 in this. Andy went 7. That's weird. I thought Andy would have loved this. I wrote. I went 7.5 on it. This is for me. This is a strong song on the album. I listened to it a few times, and it's the horns are excellent, and I love the guitar in it as well. And I could really hear there's a Red Hot Chili Peppers song called Funky Monks. It's on the Blood Sugar Sex Magic album. And that's all I could hear at the start of this song. It was brilliant. It took me back to that tune. In fact, I think when I was playing it in my van, I went on Spotify and stopped the album for a wee while to go back and listen to Funky Monks for Red Hot Chili Peppers because it's such a good song. So I gave that a 7.5 out of 10. So that was quite good, and it's definitely not deliberate because it's not a very famous Red Hot Chili Peppers song, you know. So it was really cool that wee funky.
What I would say about this tune is, if you're on the vinyl, this is the first track on the B side. Am I right in saying that?
That's right.
So if you look at it like the second side of the album, I think it's a solid, fucking great start to it. Aye.
See, I've not got the vinyl, so that's cool because that does change your.
So if you look at it in that perspective, it changes your outlook, doesn't it?
That's what ruined the album we did, Regatta de Blanc by the Police, where Tommy, who was reviewing it, has only got the vinyl. So he brought the album on and reviewed the start of the second side terribly. It was his album he brought. So he brought the Police sound to bum them up. Like David, come on, we let it be 10, 10, 10. Tommy's coming in with Police Regatta de Blanc 6, 7, 5.5, and all that kind of stuff. And this is your album. But anyway, going to be still 7.5. So that's still a good score. Next tune is Disco Colin. Can I ask before we do it, why is the dots in between? Is that just does it stand for something, or is that just
in the middle of it, like the classic DISCO C whatever, how it's like DISCO COLIN.
Right, and that's how you have that, right? Aye, so that's the
Don't go with the dots.
A homage. Kirsten always gets us into trouble because when we brought out GT as a single, we didn't have a dot at the end.
Right,
but I don't think, you know, you don't always.
Don't start me on that. Don't start me on that.
Hold on till I get a visual on it, right? And I'll tell you if it's offensive without a dot at the end. I've got a dot at the end, and I copied and pasted it off.
They changed it.
Right, okay.
Language is an evolving thing, as our full stops, and sometimes what if I want to leave that hanging? What if I don't want a full stop?
No, you don't get the purpose of it.
It's too final. It's too final. Maybe part 1 there shouldn't have been a full stop because there was a part 2 to come.
No,
what we should do is
no, I'm only just saying.
I know, Jason, you're right. No abbreviation at all on the vinyl. It's too final on the vinyl.
Right, so just let's leave it open ended.
You either have it or you don't. That's the rules.
Punctuation's getting it heavy tonight.
Surely there must be a limited edition without punctuation in it.
These are the two pedants in the band, and they both annoy each other, I know, at times. But it's like, just get over it. It's just a fucking dot.
Because I'm an ex-English teacher and Kirsten's an actual teacher.
No, you taught fucking for 5 minutes in fucking Thailand, David. You're not an ex-English teacher.
That's completely wrong. Taught in Glasgow Uni for months before that as well. Brilliant. And it wasn't Thailand, it was Costa Rica.
Here we go, Disco Calling.
Dirty disco never dies. Disco calling tonight. Disco calling all of my life. Disco calling tonight.
Brilliant, another upbeat one. John, we'll come to you first. I'm just going to nip for a drink.
This was a really fun one to record because we got to mess about with a lot of gals, like drum machines and synthesizers and oscillators, and everybody had a wee go at doing different things and we spent time on hand claps, but it started off as a song that was just again another jam that we used to play live for a laugh. And because we've got Colin in the band and he's a disco guy at times, wears a disco jacket. It was like Disco Colin and aye. But
just
then
arms and legs.
Aye. We went to Carlton Studios and the recording we done there didn't work out to release, but it was good because the brass got their parts together in there, and when the brass get their bits together, it almost the song starts coming together even more. But the lyrics are just fun, but they're also about like my love of disco, which, you know, I think you had, like we spoke about earlier on, when you hit a certain age where you're not going, oh, that's just the music I'm into. You actually appreciate the music that you probably have always loved. And I love Chic and love so many disco tracks. Like, there's so many amazing ones, but when you look at the whole disco sucks movement that happened and how that came about, it's almost like the alt-right thing where it's like, oh no, they're not like us. They're like, you know, they're black or they're gay, and because disco was associated with you know, those things, that's why these sort of people decided to try and destroy it. And unfortunately at that time in America they had a lot of credence because it was like DJs and folk that were, do you know what, to push bands they wanted to push that probably weren't even racist but wanted to make money. And so I think some of the lyrics are serious, like talking about, you know, racist homophobia and stuff like that. But
that was the thing I picked up on in the tune, was the actual, although it's a fun song, there's a bit of seriousness about the lyrics.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, it's like sometimes you go, oh, should I say that? And it's like, well, it's kind of, it makes sense to the song, and it talks about a bit of the history of disco as well, like some of the language, which like Cool in the Gang and Sticking It to the Man and Low Down and Mackin, the Plastics, like that was all 70s language, do you know what I mean? So I was trying to incorporate a lot of that into it, the language of the time.
Aye, so it's probably the song's probably more cleverer, if that's even cleverer as a word.
It's not a word.
No, but it is now. It's more cleverer than I've probably gave it credit for in my score when you're actually telling me the background of the track.
But again, it's a song, you just need to judge it on, do you like it or not?
But that's what this is why this is great to hear where the tracks have came from and what the story's about, if you know what I mean.
Aye.
Is that going to make you change your score, Jason? Are you all right with?
No, I'm not going to change it, no.
I love the very ending of the song's one of my favourite bits where, and it's a song that annoys Colin, who is Disco Colin. It's both his favourite and most hated song because he's like, but we can't do all the things we done in the studio. And it's like, I know we can't, but we can do a good version of that folk will absolutely love. But we're not going to be able to, you know, do an arpeggiator the way we've done within that track because live that's going to be too difficult for a 12-piece to do. But it's okay that we don't need to do that live. But within that song, that's one of my favourite bits where the arpeggiator starts going and it's like proper disco-tastic.
That was, I think Kelly Jones for Stereophonics came out and said that about like, because when he was in it, they were recording, I can't remember what album it was, and some of the bandmates have said, we'll never be able to replicate this live. And he's like, it doesn't matter. It genuinely doesn't matter if you can't replicate it. The record live, you've got to make your record as good as it can be. Yeah. And then just play it live the way it's going to be live. It doesn't matter if it doesn't sound the same.
Yeah.
Totally. In 100 years' time, like, all there'll be is the records and maybe some fucking grainy, although high definition, but they'll have, you know, they'll have holograms by then. So let YouTube will just be like, well, no, we've got a hologram concert happening here.
Aye.
Let's watch some retro YouTube videos, and ultimately, you have to serve the song, and whatever it takes to serve that song, that's what you need to do. And that, I think I love it. It was one of my personal favourites on the album, just because there's so much experimenting. Like me and DJ5 and Colin in particular all got to fuck about with loads of synthesizers, and it's good fun.
I was going to score it down because it took me about half an hour there to write it when I was typing it in there with the score, with putting all the dots in between it. You know what you were saying there,
Andy didn't in the graphic.
point
He just
for every
did it
dot.
as Disco Colin.
Aye, I know. I like to keep it exactly the way it is. You were talking, David, earlier. I'm just digressing a wee bit here because I like bringing this in. You were talking about Paolo Nutini earlier, David. And Skimmer, you're talking about live when you're playing. I went and seen Paolo Nutini live and walked out. And I like Paolo Nutini, and walked out after half an hour because he always changes his songs live. Like he did Pencil Full of Lead, and it just like you're waiting for the live version of it, and he just changed it all. He made it all weird, and you're just like, I don't know. I think there's some artists do change a song too much, and I thought that with Paolo Nutini, and I was quite disappointed. He
was going through a few issues though. Maybe at the time you maybe seen him live. I think maybe.
No, I think if you've done all those songs, and it's almost from, not that it was ever boy band, but it was almost going down that, it could have potentially went down that road, and their songs from that time. So I get why he done those versions, and I liked those versions, but they're not the originals. Like New Shoes, he done it with as well. But we were we were pally with Paolo at that time when he was, making those changes, and Dave was in his band, and I got it because he's trying to do something different. So artistically, it was the right move for him, but I get why. But I think when we saw him at Connect Festival, and it was the first two albums were out, and there was no change to the formula, it was perfect. It was like.
And I think as he evolved, his band get bigger maybe as well, and then you're trying to add things in, and like I know what you like. I was talking about a song you did earlier there, like in 10 years' time, like when you add things in, and it becomes like Noel Gallagher. I can always come back to him, but he does popular songs. So Champagne Supernova and Wonderwall now, when Noel Gallagher do them, are like totally different. That they still get that kind of energy about them and vibe, but he's obviously keyed it up to suit him. But I think it's made it a better song. It's just a couple of Paolo Nutini songs when I went and seen him. Don't get me wrong, Jenny, don't be hasty. No, that was still the same. But there was some that I was just like, oh, what's he doing here? And I think I preempted going to that gig, like because I'd seen him live in Glastonbury doing it with a few songs, and I think I preempted saying I don't like that version. And then it must have been in my head when I went there, but. I just found, and that's weird with music, and it's good that you know him as well, and you can hear like maybe why he done it, and there's always a story to that. But as a music fan, knowing him and maybe going to see him for the first couple of times, I didn't like that kind of when he changed it as much. But I mean, sorry for digressing there, but I just thought that was
not at all. No, it's a good point, and I think
we went down to Ayrshire, John, to see him. Where was that? Was that Kelly Town Hall?
One of the town hall, I think it might, it must have, I think it was Kelly Town Hall,
It would have been Kilmarnock, because here doesn't get things like that, unfortunately.
What do you, that's a wee question, because glad you brought that up, Jason, as well. What do you guys think of Ayrshire for music, and especially Ayr? Like we're down here, and when we put gigs on, we want to put gigs on at places, and see, to be honest, you don't get really many folk coming to watch you. You think you have, but you don't. But you always, we always strive to go and play in Glasgow, but then we think like, who do we ask to go and play in Glasgow? I mean, I messaged the guy at the Priory, thinking, fuck, he'll not get back to us. And he did, like before lockdown, I will get you up for a gig. And I thought, is it that easy to get a gig in Glasgow? You just message folk? Because I thought it was like you had to speak to somebody, a promoter, and then you get that thing that you can come up and play, but you need to sell 50 tickets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but what do you think of Air and Ayrshire? Like, is it like kind of like
we love getting down to Ayr. We love all our gigs in Kilmarnock have always been amazing. We've played Ayr Town Hall, which was fucking incredible, but we've probably skipped a level, do you know what I mean? But in terms of playing some of the wee pubs and all that, but we would, you know, we loved fucking doing that but we probably, even when things open up again, we'd happily play wherever, but I think it's like that thing, like even when you see bands like the Snuts getting massive, and even you know, like when you hear about even like Lewis Capaldi and stuff like that in their hometown, and you've got the guys that are football guys and they're not really into music. You get a lot of that. You get a lot of that in Glasgow, obviously, but it's probably more apparent in smaller towns. Do you know what I mean? And it's probably more apparent in like Ayrshire and, you know, fucking Dumfries and Galloway. But I think the important thing is just to try and do cool things, and even if it's giving a night to young bands or just try to do your own night, do you know what I mean? That at a point somebody will break through, and then it'll be like at a point a band for Ayrshire will fucking go massive. And everybody will be like, oh, we love, you know, going out in Ayrshire and fucking going there.
And Biffy Clyro done it.
I think that the difficulty we've had in Ayr, and you'll maybe agree with me on this, Scott, is that we've not got any, up until now, there's a venue now which just opened before lockdown. It was one of the old nightclubs. They've done it up. They put a big stage, full backline in it, like a cracking PA, and then lockdown happened. No, it's the old Madison's nightclub. You want to see it inside?
Madison.
It's fucking amazing. It looks amazing inside. But lockdown's happened, so nobody's fucking played in it yet. Right? But Ayr has only had, up until this point, has only had your pubs that would maybe had 100 folk, and then the town hall, which had 600. So there's nowhere that'll have, let's say, a 300 capacity venue in between. So you're either going to have your 100 pub gigs, or you've got to do see the town hall gigs. Because I put a couple of gigs on at the town hall. You have to sell it out, otherwise you fucking lose. The overheads are mental because it's council bills. So if you don't fucking sell it out, you've lost money. So it's big pressure from a promoter's point of view. You know what I mean?
Totally. And maybe it's that there is a gap in the market there, but it's who's going to be the person brave enough, or who's going to be the band that will just defy, you know, the odds.
They spent like fucking £1 million renovating the Gaiety Theatre, which is like the oldest theatre in the town, right? And I said at the time, I wrote to a councillor and I was like, look, when this is getting renovated, see the seating bit in the front circle, make it removable. So you can use it as a music venue like the Alhambra. See how they've got the removable seating. They spent £1 million in it and didn't fucking do that. It's just like, that was a massive gap to make that 300, 400 capacity venue available. And they didn't fucking do it,
to make it flexible for gigs like that.
And they didn't do it.
It's 25 minutes up the road to Glasgow now, you know.
I
love
that's
the vibe. Sorry, John. I love the vibe at that, like, when we've maybe played the box. So for us going up to play the box, where you get a couple of beers, but you're guaranteed a crowd, you know, and then you walk outside and you see broadcasts nice and sleazies, and then there's maybe somebody on at the ABC. Like that, you'd love a street like that in Ayr. Where it's just so everybody's into their music, but you don't get that. But sorry, John, I interrupted you there.
Just the exact point you were going to make. It's like where we're from, like Moodiesburn and Cumbernauld. It's so close to Glasgow that any up and coming band that is doing well is just naturally going to gravitate towards Glasgow. And but I think Ayrshire's far enough away. I think there will probably, like Biffy was. There'll be another band that it sparks it down there. It'd be more difficult for like Cumbernauld, do you know, to get a scene going. And I think that's the thing, to get a scene going, and that's how like the whole West Lothian thing there now, it's far enough away from these places that, do you know, but when
it's
you
a
hear
generational thing as well, isn't it?
But when you hear these guys getting interviewed, they're talking about, like, do you know, playing to nobody initially and football guys coming in and what to square go with them. And so they're dealing with almost like the way it was in Glasgow fucking 10 years ago is happening there now, do you know?
That's a good point. Raymond Mandito Anil has made too many places in here just want cover bands, and that's what it is. It's
true.
Like when we do Press Fest, and I go to the pubs, they say, what bands are we getting? Can we get the Kinks experience? And the reason they want that is because the Kinks experience will fill their pub, you know.
Yeah.
So like they want.
And listen, it's understandable as well when you look at it from a
business,
promoter's point of view and a business's point of view. They want the place full and they want to sell the tickets. So I can kind of see it, but that's where I think that hopefully this new Madison's Place venue 38 is opening something that we've not had before, where you can have a 300 capacity and maybe attract like a touring band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you guys, for example, you guys would come down and play a 100 capacity venue because it'd be a fucking waste of time, right? But maybe instead of going to the expense of doing the town hall thing, there's probably more margin for a promoter's point of view to do this venue 38 and get you guys down. Do you know what I mean?
Aye. Well, it's when we go down to, like, the last couple of times we've went to Kilmarnock, we're not playing the same size of venues we play in Glasgow, but it's like when you go to Paisley or Cumbernauld, or it's a different crowd. Some of your regulars, but folk that are into your music, but you've not been to their town yet. So you need to go. You need to go and explore these towns, and I think like I'd love to play Madison's. It sounds like a fucking good new venue.
I want a support slot. Fuck it, let's get it organised.
Definitely. Just to clip that wee section there.
we have it in writing.
Contract signed.
Jason, are you discussing Disco Colin?
We're still doing that,
for that.
I don't.
I'll give you Andy. Andy went 7. I can see where Andy's going with it. Andy likes the funky, but that's quite funky. I was
7. I was 7 as well. I was like, good tune, but same as Ted Dancing for me. It's just no my cup of tea, but it's a good tune.
I Public went 8 in that, because it is catchy. I've went 7.5. I wrote similar to the Ted Dancing vibe.
Yeah.
I wrote the rhythm of the song would be a dream to write lyrics to, which you've already explained. You've talked about your lyrics in that song, and I think what you do very clever is, which is very clever, is your choruses are very catchy and kind of sometimes easy lyrics, like choruses, because
that's the key, though, isn't it?
It is, and it keeps it in folks' head. Like so it's the catchy chorus with the easy lyrics, and that's the door in for folk. I love that song, and then they listen to it, and then they get into the kind of. But I just think like the rhythm's like great to write to, you know. Like I think that's how I write a song. I'll get the music all done first, and then just sit and listen to it in my head, and then go, oh god, that'd be good. Don't know if that's how you did it with this song, but
I had most of the lyrics written, and then it was one of the songs like Funkier Than Funk that was more of a jam, a song that we had a laugh with at a festival. Disco Collins here, and you'd start it up, but then the crowd would go wild for it, so you're like, this is a tune. But
you would just like decide to jam, and everyone was steaming and
having it
unexpected. Oh, we're doing this, are we?
Nice, brilliant.
But then it's sometimes good. It keeps people on their toes and gets people.
I could never do that.
I think the time that we played in, where was it? Was it Gala Shields? I think I ended up just dancing in the crowd. I was like, oh, I'll just go in the crowd. I don't know. I'll just go and join them.
We're talking about the simplicity of maybe the chorus lyrics, and I touched on it earlier. The repetition, I think, is key for your songs, how it gets stuck in people's heads. But sometimes it's not even just like lyrics; it's the la la las and the it gets the crowd singing it back. I think because I remember. I can't remember how long it was. Like
you've done that in a song, though, haven't you? Have you not done? You've written a few songs that are in a crowd reaction. Is that,
just because I'm fucking late? Just because I'm lazy and I can't think of any lyrics, I'll just go fuck it, la la la's all day.
La la la.
I remember it was like years ago at Tina Park in Kasabian, finished with LSF, right? And the whole fucking crowd that watched them, it was the Radio 1 stage, walked back to the campsite just going, la, 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 la. And I remember just being like that. I said, it's fucking amazing. Like blown away. The whole crowd just took it all back to the campsite.
Aye. I remember those times as well.
The glory days.
A great gig. Right, here we go. We've got song number 9. These drugs are not what...
These are not the drugs you are looking for.
That's easy for you to say,
These are not the drugs you are looking for.
I can't write my own reading.
No one here is sad anymore. Everyone's happy, everyone's smiling. No one here is sad anymore. Everyone's happy, everyone's smiling. These are the drugs that you've been looking for.
So I was talking earlier about a song I've written. So this to me is the same kind of peace loving mustard, like chord progression, like that kind of primal screamy kind of thing going on. And I was talking about a song, Anchor Lane, that I've got and we've recorded. Pelikan Rogues recorded it and we've got it out there, and I'm 80% happy with it, right? But I heard see the drums in this. Like, I want the drums. I'm going to take this and go, see the drums in this song. Adrian, see Anchor Lane, we're re-recording it, and I want you to do drums like that, because
just sample them.
It's just like, I love the drums in this. It's very 90s, and then the rap bit in it. Like, that's, we'll come to that. I just think that the rap bit in it fits well, like Scottish rapping fits well. We had Becky Wallace on the other week there. And because you're doing this podcast now and you're getting a lot of folk doing Pelikan 4s, I've heard a lot more Scottish rapping recently, which I hadn't really listened to before, but I think that was a cracking wee touch in the album. I like to have that in as well. You're bringing another genre into it. I love this tune.
There's genre busting again, man.
I think this is one of
the genre busting continues.
8.5 for me. We'll just go through the scores quickly, then you can talk about it. Sam, an 8.5 for that, Ian. I'll just, before I come to you, Skimmer, Andy was an 8 and Public 7 for that. Skimmer, what was your score for These Are Not the Drugs You're Looking For?
9. That was a 9. I said anthem of the album. For me, this is the, because honestly, I've seen it live before I heard the album, right? And we're talking about LSF there. See at the start, it's got that kind of LSF vibe about it at the start, right? For me, it's a complete anthem. The only reason it's no a 10 is because it's better live than it is in the record again.
And I knew you'd like that, Ian, as well. It's definitely got that primal screamy thing, and because your band's got
just right up my street, man.
Aye, it is. It's right up my street as well. I love that tune. I'll tell us a wee bit about that, guys.
I think lyrically, it's probably one of the most important songs I've written. Although I only sing a wee bit in it, but see when you're playing that live, and it's that thing for us as well. You're maybe not having a good time in your life yourself, but you're putting that out, just that simple opening statement, everyone's happy, everyone's smiling, no one here is sad anymore. Because, you know, people are sad, and it's a song that a lot of people come up to you and talk about, you know, after gigs, and thank you for, because I was going through a shit time, and I heard that, and it's just a nice thing. But also the actual song itself, it's not a pro-drug song, it's not an anti-drug song, but it's important that drugs are massive. Do you know what I mean? It's like a massive thing in our society, so it's important there's a dialogue about that, and a mature one. And I think that's why I'm an addiction worker. You know, it's my day job at the moment, and I see the most terrible side, drinking, drugs, but also I see my friends having the best times on it as well. So it's almost like a middle ground song for me, where it will hopefully get people thinking and having discussions and thinking about their behaviour. And but aye, the tune is a tune and a half. So and it has to, like, you can't write lyrics like that without having a tune done by the guys that's so fucking good.
It's a fucking great song.
David, is this one?
Thanks so much.
Is this a top one, David, live? Is this, because I can imagine this is...
Yeah, this, just as John was saying that there, and I was going to touch on like some of the things that he'd said there, just from that psychological side of things. I mean, I've had so many people come up to me over the years and just, let's say, just like help me get over a bad time and stuff like that, which is a beautiful thing. There's been some other really just crazy, surreal things that have happened directly as a result of this song. Well, one of them, well, that's happened a few times, I suppose, that's quite a crazy one, but people have actually thrown drugs at me on stage during this song at festivals. And the really surreal things that have happened that I would have never have imagined. So Liverpool Sound City, the first year when the Flaming Lips were headlining that we played, I went down for the Sound City Plus conference. One of my heroes, Wayne Coyne, was one of the keynote speakers, being interviewed by the old Hacienda DJ, Dave Haslam. And it was in like 1,000 capacity theatre, conference space down there. And I went in early and I got a front row seat, and obviously I'm there, I've got my Colonel Mustard hoodie on, and I had a tote bag ready for Wayne with a t-shirt and the copy of the album in it. And I didn't know there was going to be a Q&A at the end, but like, as John says, like, I'm just a total blagger and I'm a cancer, and that's partly the portmanteau of my band pseudonym. And is that right? I'm definitely going to speak to Wayne. I don't know how, but I'm definitely going to speak to him. But at the end, Dave says, okay, we're going to open out to a Q&A now if anybody's got any questions. And I didn't have a question, but I put my hand up straight away. And then I was just, right, I'm going to need to think on the spot. And I was in the front row, but the woman who had what's the word? The cordless microphone, she was out away at the back, thinking that she'd approach whoever the person was that asked the first question from there. So Wayne must have saw her away at the back, and then Wayne himself walked right off the stage, off the couch with his microphone to give me his microphone, and then he just started retreating, went back to the seat. So I waited until he sat down because I still didn't know what my question was. And then I said, Wayne, I just want to let you know you're a massive inspiration to me and the band I'm in, Colonel Mustard and the Dijon 5. So much so, as a homage to you, having me and my pal John, the Colonel in the band, having been underneath your Zorbin ball at the Indian Summer Festival in Victoria Park. As we're down here in the docks as well, I've brought an inflatable dinghy. And if anybody wants to come along and watch us at 5:30 tomorrow in the North Stage, then you'll see me crowd surf over the crowd in an inflatable dinghy. And I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for you, Wayne. And then I just stopped. And then Wayne put his hand to his heart and he was about to say something, but Dave Haslam was fucking raging, and he said, "You've not asked a question there, you've just plugged your own band's gig." And then everybody started laughing, but Dave was fuming, and he stayed fuming at me for years. He's no forgot it. And, I just laughed, and I still had Wayne's microphone. I went, "Oh, aye, you're right, so I have." And then I walked up and I went and gave Wayne the microphone back, and then we had a quick hug. And then I went, "Here, Wayne, that's for you as well." From the bag. And then I sat down where people were clapping me and stuff, and I was brilliant. But as photographers come up to me after that, and then they were saying, "Right, who's your band again? Where are you playing?" And partly because of that, and also because we were on before the CEO and founder of Liverpool Sound City, a good friend of ours now, Dave Picciolini. His band were doing a wee reunion gig, 35 Summers. Now they've came up, they played support at the Barrowland back in the early 90s with Spiral Carpets and The Farm. And they had pulled in a big crowd because they were on right after us. And I remember, we did that song. There's a YouTube video for it as well. If you search on YouTube, Colonel Mustard and the Dijon 5, Liverpool Sound City. John the Hat, who was in the band at the time, he went and filmed it for his static camera, and you see me going out. I've got a special wee disco hat made by Sadie, our hat maker, a retired milliner. It was just like a sailor's hat. And I went out, and thankfully, it was the first time I'd been out in a dinghy, and I was absolutely fucking shitting it. Didn't know what was going to happen. I stayed in it, and then I managed to get out it reasonably safely when I came back. But I saw all the photographers round the periphery trying to get the best angle, because I knew there was like a good 10, 15 of them there. And then this one official photographer for the festival, he got best shot. And then it ended up being used in all of their advertising for their main advertising promo pictures for the festival the next year. And then we get invited back, and then that led to us going out to Korea. That was one amazing experience, and what positive benefits that came off of that. And the other was when we were about to do the video, two of our favourite festivals, Eden Festival and Kelburn Garden Party. We got all these paper plates. Were they already yellow, or did we have to marker them yellow? We had to paint them or something, didn't we?
Aye, they weren't yellow. It was Nico and John that done that, but aye, they weren't yellow beforehand.
So we made all these smiley faces that we gave out about, I don't know, like a couple of hundred at each of the festivals. So, right, you need to come and watch us if you're going to have one of these smiley faces. Put on your face, plastic band, and then at a certain point in the song, when John's going to give you the cue, the drone's going to be over you. So if you look up, and then it would look up and it would just be a sea of smiley faces. And at the time, Jimmy Cotty from the ex of the KLF, Justified Ancient of Moo, he was making these smiley face riot shields, they were called, and he was selling them for about £600 a pop. But they're beautiful, beautiful things, and I wanted them because my background coming from the whole rave generation, I've always wanted that smiley face to stay like a consistent part of our image, because it's for me, the rave movement was the last great people-powered movement of the youth generation, where really so many of them came together, unified through music as well, and it was that much of a challenge to the establishment, and the government shat it that much that they introduced the criminal justice bill and criminalised any music played that in a public space of more than 5 people. It was over 120 beats per minute or whatever it was. Fucking insane, but there you go. So I got Jimmy's email, and I sent him the MP3 of the song. I says, listen, any chance we could get one, or can I buy one of them for you to go in this video? And Jimmy's quite cantankerous, as is Bill these days. They've always had a bit of that in them, I suppose. And he replied, he did kindly reply, which I thought was good of him, but he replied and said, thanks for your email, but there's no way you're using one of my shields in a pop video, which I thought was quite rich coming from him, because he wasn't really getting it from an artistic point of view. But it was weird because he joined Twitter, and he wasn't on Twitter for long though. He clearly got seriously pissed off with all the mental well, all the mental KLF fans that are just very cultish in a big way. And I'd messaged them just saying how much like the KLF have inspired me and us and other people in the band. Like DJ5 wore the KLF t-shirt in the This Is Your House video. And he just replied on the tweet, and I've still got a screenshot of it saying "Big up the mustard," and that totally made my day. But so all these things wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for that song.
Amazing, that's brilliant. Some great stories with that tune. So, did you give us a score for that, Skimmer?
What tune are we on now?
Still the last one.
These are the
9.
I was
9. I was
a 9, eh? I was a 9. A 10 live, but a 9 now.
So there you go, 8.13.
Yes.
That's a high scoring song. In fact, that is the highest scoring song of the... No, it's not Ted Dancing is. So 8.67 for Ted Dancing, and then it's These Are Not the Drugs.
This album's going to score really high, isn't it?
It is actually high. Okay then, it'd be interesting to see where it sits round about the other albums though as well. That's
definitely.
What I like to see where it sits round the other albums. Okay then, let's go for song number 10. Daddy, can you play that dinosaur song again? That's all I've got all week. Here we go.
We are the dinosaurs. Let me hear your dino roar. We are the dinosaurs. Let me hear your dino roar. We are the dinosaurs. Let me hear your dino roar. We are the dinosaurs.
Okay then. Wait, this is the one where I was like, I honestly had to listen.
This blew my mind. I'm not going to lie. What has just happened?
About this?
Jason, that's like me turning up to a band jam. That's exactly what happens to you every
I can
time.
only imagine what happens when you've turned up to a jam and they went, "Kim, what we're going to do? We're going to go from reggae into dubstep," and you went, "Fuck this."
I know that. What? Am I still at school? What?
When we were first down at Crown Point Studios, the studio I was telling you about earlier, this was the first song that was written there, but I wasn't there. It was one of the moments where I was itching for new tunes, but I was probably, me not being there led to to this.
Because it wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Aye, but equally it's like probably my favourite song on the album now anyway, because it's no one else has written a song like this. It's a fucking great, really interesting song.
It's the first ever.
Aye, but I can't take any credit for it because it was, I think, pretty much Mogs, Chris, Mark and Greg all just jamming. And I came down, I was late, which I'm never really late for the jams, I'm on time. And I came down because I had to work late or something, and it was like, oh, aye, you're late, but we've done this, and it was like, fucking hell, you could already hear it, and it didn't have all that production on it, but it was like, you know, reggae into something mental, a bit dubsteppy with Chris. And it's one that like Chris, our guitarist, he's into like just weird and wonderful sounds. He's a massive Radiohead fan, and he gets engrossed in different types of music. But this is one that excites the guys, do you know, and like makes me happy when you see them happy. Do you know what I mean?
They're getting their time.
Is that you'll have that when something happens in the studio and everybody just kind of goes, I looks at each other.
It was a hard one to get together live though for the Barrisang, because we've never played this live to a crowd, but now I feel confident we will. And when we got videos back recently, like everybody was raving about this, and obviously just doing dinosaur noises, and it's like that's it in a nutshell. Like the crowd participation is going to be fucking crazy on this one. But equally, I just love like the thing I wrote for Gav Mitchell, like having like such an amazing comedian and friend to do that Richard Burton bit at the start and end.
Did it? Is it?
Aye.
Is it?
Bobby the Barman.
Aye.
Bobby the Barman, did he?
Troy the Gardener, sorry.
Aye. But to have him doing that and just I love it because I'm happy with the punchline at the end as well, but also it's a song about, again, going back to GT, it's like we need to look after this place, do you know what I mean? Like we're the dinosaurs, but we're also the meteor, do you know what I mean? We're the fucking kings of the earth, but we're also the thing destroying the earth.
That's the so that's the good thing about it. That's what I love about the song. I'm like, what's this? So how's he come up with dinosaurs? And then you listen to it and you go, right. I've got the deeper meaning of this here, because I'm just a melody guy, and like I'll catch wee bits of lyrics and how you fit lyrics through a melody, and like having that kind of thing. Because by the way, like my kids, like love that tune because you sing dinosaurs in it. Now you're saying you're a family band as well, like they don't know what it means. But there's dinosaurs in it, and it's pretty cool. I honestly at the start I didn't know, like I just thought it was clever how you've just went and put this in the album as well to go with all the different genres. I love where it is in the album. I love where you've put it. What was the bit? This is the song that I'm talking about, the visual tune. Where that's where I had to get it, Mayah. Like just lie back and listen to it. The Laser Quest thing pits me off a wee bit. Is that the dubstepy bit you're talking about? That kind of pit me off a wee bit. But I definitely I go at the kind of also the Flash Gordon vibe kind of thing. That's where I was kind of going down that kind of see like Queen. Aye. They did Flash and all that kind of album. Yeah, that song would actually see if you phone Roger Taylor and go, listen, I think that Flash Gordon's got a song short. Like, you've got one if you want. Like, it'll
get Brian May in here.
Aye.
For a guitar solo.
I wasn't going to. I gave it a 7, a steady, solid 7 out of 10 because it was where it's sitting in the album. Obviously, there's more things happening in there. Pretty brave to put it in, and I think it's worked, and I can't wait to hear that live. That'll be great.
I'm the same. When I first heard it, right, I gave it a 7 as well, right, and I first listened to it, and I listened to it in the car, right, so I do most of my listening to music in the car, and I listened to it in the car, and I stopped before it, I had to get out the car before it got to the dubstep bit, right, so I was like, that's quite a cool, catchy wee reggae tune, man, and I got out.
He's really frozen. He got the car that was -10.
That's like such good graphics, I know.
Oh, I know. That's brilliant. I've seen it. The scores did we get? Your Dinosaurs. Andy gave it a 6, and the public gave it a 7.
It's the hardest listen on the album. There's no denying it, but I think it's one that the longer people, it'll be the slow builder.
That's what I was saying over the last week. It's going to a 9.
To think, aye.
Yeah.
And it's good to have a song like that. I think that's not just instant and accessible. It's like you need to get into this, and if you're in a field dancing to it, you're going to be bopping up and down.
I can't wait to see David. What you got in your mind for that, Ian, David? Just back into the crowd and
maybe something involving dinosaurs.
Aye.
Like small hands.
No, I was thinking more like a pterodactyl hang glider.
Wow.
Aye, I like that idea.
That's good. I like that too. 6.75 that is. So 6.75 for We Are Dinosaurs. So
I'm back.
Two 2 more to go.
I thought you were still here. You were like the best mime artist in the world
you
ever.
were saying you get out the car.
Oh, did you miss all that? I told you the full fucking story.
And that's just you getting back in.
That's me just getting back in. I don't know what happened. Because I'm out in the man cave, the dial-up dropped out there. Don't know what happened. No, I get out the car.
I go, sorry.
And I get back. So I was listening to them. That's a nice reggae tune, man. And then I got to where I was going, get out the car, get back in. My phone connected to the Bluetooth thing again. I was already driving, and then it kicked into the dubstep bit, and I'm like, is that the same fucking song? I was like, no, it can't be. I must have skipped one. So I skipped back, and I was like, no, that was the song before. So I skipped it back again. I listened to it right through, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on here?
Brilliant, man.
So, again, I was talking about it earlier. The Cross the Road tune it must be the first time that Andy's done a tune about the Green Cross Road, and that must be the first time that anybody has mixed a reggae and dubstep in a tune. Must be.
Yeah.
So it's groundbreaking stuff. Genre busting.
It's definitely busted a genre too.
100%.
Here we go then. Song number 11, the recent single, I believe. This is Your House. We played it at the start of the show. Here we go.
This is your house, welcome home. This is your house, this is your house. Everybody belong, This is your house, welcome home. This is your house, this is your house.
So we get a great bit about Mary Keane on this. Is there anything else in this tune, David, that a wee bit of trivia or kind of insight on it?
I will shout out to the vocalists who just make a massive contribution to the song, and it would be completely different without them. So Ant Thomas from Dope Sick Fly is a great friend of ours and one of the best vocalists out there. Coming to Kirkintilloch by way of Ireland, New York and New Orleans, where he's from. Just a lovely man. Him and his partner Francis and their wee daughter Gaia came along for the filming when we were outside the now closed Archies. And at the very end of the video, we do dedicate it to the Archies and the whole subculture of dance music. And as John said, it was like we did kind of drift apart a little. Like obviously we still knew we were winning our lived. We still had one of those landlines, I'm guessing. Did they have phones back then, John?
01417791426.
You got the 4 and the 2 round the wrong way.
1246.
Well done. Was yours 5118?
No,
okay. I'm way off there.
No, that.
So
I was going to make something up there, but I won't.
that maybe Jim Carmichael? I've definitely got 5118 stuck in my mind. So I'd still kind of seen John's previous bands to this one from time to time, but it really was like dance music that brought us back together. Actually, John's to blame for the very first sickie I ever called in. Do you remember we did the long weekender at yours, or the Saturday night it went into the Sunday that went into the Monday club? And John's flatmate at the time, she phoned up and pretended to be my mom.
That was one of the best parties of all time. My mate Jimmy phoned in sick for just a guy a random that was at the party, and he's going to phone into my sick, my working kid on, you're my dad, and he forgot his name before he went on. He's like, what's your name? And and the guy, he came on the phone and he went, what's up with him? And Jimmy was just like, can he make it? Know what I mean? And the guy was like, oh, all right. Yeah, I'm like, Steve. He's like, Brian. I'm Brian's dad. He's like, oh, he's sick today. What's up with him? Can he make it? He can't make it. Know what I mean?
Aye. Aye. Oh, that stuff. It's like... Did you enjoy the video shoot, Kirsten? You weren't in when we were talking about the video shoot.
Yeah, got to feature my hometown here in Johnston, the iconic Johnston bandstand, and the fountain at Ludovic Square in Johnston. Don't think there's many videos that feature, the town centre of Johnston, Renfrewshire.
Groundbreaking again.
I know, he's like, man. Right, he's like.
Cheeky chappies.
What do you give this one?
I give it a 9.
9.
I gave it a 9. I'm going to get my notes up here. Hold on. This is your house. 9. Quality song, great production. Just loved it. The start to finish. Thought it was brilliant. Just as much as I'm not into dance music, I do quite like house music, but I just thought it was a great tune.
Yeah,
it's one we can play as an acoustic song. I know. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and
it takes on different dimensions as well. A bit.
In some ways, it's amazing. Mary's vocals are amazing, and they totally shine through. But you're missing like how good Ant's vocals are at times, and it's good that we've been able to do some live stuff because what he done before Mary got involved was like exceptional anyway. Mm-hmm. So it'd be good at a point to just get a mix out with him as well. But Mary's vocals are obviously insane, and Kirsten's trumpet once again a great bit of.
Mm-hmm.
And she was on a diva strop that day. Peace, love, and mustard. She wasn't, but she's like raging with herself, and it's like, right, just play.
I was
just
like,
play
this
some
isn't going to work.
But
this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work.
It's the song we spent the longest with in the studio. It took us like, there was a day it was like me, DJ 5 and Colin, and we were like 2 days of just like really getting mashed up and using samplers and synthesizers, and I can't play synthesizers, but I was that weekend. But that was what was great about it, because it was like, right, what are the wee things in dance music songs that give you the shivers, and if it didn't give you the shivers, it wasn't in, and that was what was.
There was almost a point that we didn't have any horns on it, because I think when you put out when the horns coming up, I don't think, because it was a good kind of dancey track, I think some of us felt, I'm really into my dance music. In fact, when you guys were at the Arches, I think I was probably there at the same time, because I was into going to like Pressure and Colours and all those different like Carl Cox and all the kind of stuff that was going on at that point. So you never know, we could have been in the same building all those years ago at that time. But I did throw a diva strop, because I was like, this isn't what I just don't know what to do, and then it just play over it.
I think we got Kirsten to do about like 3 or 4 takes like where she was raging, but within that we're like, no, we know we've got some gold in there. Going to do that bit, no, that was shite. It's like, no, going to just listen back like that, and then eventually within whatever, like another couple of takes, we had that do like just really.
Because there's like both. It's both trumpet. It's just one is an octave above.
Yeah,
and it's different, which is a bit of a killer. But and
there's like 3 or 4 really great parts that you just ad-libbed that one day, but in a bad mood, but that you now love.
maybe that's the way forward.
That's the key.
Being a bad mood.
Just get you fucking raging. Not worry.
Sometimes works a bit of, a bit of anger.
Yeah,
not too much.
You gave it a 9. Andy gave it a 7. The public.
Fuck Andy.
I knew public would get a 9. So Mary Keane's in it for a start, so I just think it's brilliant you got her in it. I've just wrote it. I love the dope sick fly guy singing at the start. Just takes you back to early 2000 house music, that American, like, he's no as low. It's like, what's that Barry White song that they did back in the day? You know, The Trouble With Me at the start of 1975. I brought you an album with a song. Like, see that voice, like, remember the smoothness of it. It was just amazing.
Just get such a vibe about it, the tune.
And it's so catchy, the song, right? And it's that catchy. And I've had it in my head all week. And when you brought it out as the video, I can see the video. I think it looks cool as anything outside the arches. I'd like just outside the arches in the video. I think that looks cool.
That was class.
The whole package of this song. It's a video out first, then it's coming out in the album. And it was my auntie, like, it's massive for me, this song now, because it was my auntie's funeral today. And that song, it was in, when we left the house, turned the car on, that was the first song that come on. And then, like, you're in the funeral and you're sitting and, like, they're talking and I've just got, this is my heart. I swear to God, and like it was just in my head. I love the whole package you've got for this song, and I'm not just saying this because I wouldn't just say I've gave this song a 10 out of 10.
Oh yes,
yeah,
yes,
absolutely amazing tune. And it's the most popular tune in the album up to now, with one more to go. 8.75 out of 10 in the Pelikan Podcast. So that's a high score. That's one of our highest scoring songs.
This album's going to be right up there, isn't it?
I think so. I think it's looking good. So we finished the album off with GT Part 2, which is song number 12. I think me and Skimmer were both impressed with this, how it finishes the album. But so here we go. Let's have a listen.
Ship is lost and I'll never see you again. The last voice in transmission was heard to say we've got a friend. All we thought was important is rendered defunct. We are each other, but also no one.
So even listening to that wee bit there, let us say what we think, and then we'll give our album scores separately. Then talk to us a bit about this. But Skimmer, you go first. I'll not steal your thunder here.
I just liked how it's like full circle. Mm-hmm. I like how it started the album and then it's went back to it. And I really like. I scored the GT Part 1 and 8, right? Mm-hmm. So when I was listening to it, like kind of in the motor, I was like, well, I have to give Part 2 an 8. And then I listened to it through the headphones earlier on when I was at the gym, believe it or not. And I was like, I actually think Part 2 is better than Part 1 because it obviously takes you to the end. Although you get around the full circle, but the Part 2 takes you to the end. So I gave it a 9. I thought it was fucking brilliant.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, Jason.
Wait till I check that actually. Yeah, I've got that down. As a 9. 2 seconds just to change that there. Yeah. Public gave it a 7. Andy gave it a 7. And I gave it a 7.5. I think it is. I think it's a nice bookend to the album. I like it because it reminds you how good the song was at the start of the album when you heard it, and it's like it could subconsciously make you go, I'm going to fucking listen to this whole album again.
That's exactly what it does, doesn't it? You go back at the start again.
It's really cool, and we've listened to loads of albums, and we always think, like, with folk finishing an album, does it, like, I think a lot of artists deliberately make their last song like, right, this is what's coming next, but I like, or they have a hidden track which is pointless for me. I don't understand that. But I like how this is the end of this album. It's like this. But
it's also the start.
Number 2. This is a different number 2.
It's the end, but it's also the start.
It's the start. Aye, it's brilliant.
So it's infinite. Just keeps going round and round.
So tell us.
I also love Becca Starr's vocals on it.
Yeah.
Becca Starr. You can hear her vocals
Going through it
on
as well,
the last track.
Is
Her
that who's
vocals
is
are
that who's in that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I can't sing, but I try and sing it, but I don't have a mic because that's just bad news. But I always have her voice in my head when I hear that. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
That's what Alana's saying as well. A great ending to the album.
I think for a while there was a sort of, not an argument, but a conversation within the band where it's like, do we put GT out as one song or do we bookend it that way where GT Part 2 comes in? And the longer it went on, we were like, no, it kind of has to finish it. And I always had the end of Dark Side of the Moon in mind where, you know, it's kind of making a point at the end that's sort of summarises what the album's about, and hopefully it does that a wee bit, you know, like where it's talking about the things that are important, but also that, you know, really, like, it's, you know, life's pretty mental, and like a lot of things we think are important probably aren't as well, and that casting anxiety into the pit, do you know what I mean? That stuff like that, it's like, do you know, anxiety, every human being experiences it, and it seems to be becoming bigger and bigger, but really the thing you have to do with anxiety is challenge it and, do you know, think of the bigger picture. And it's easier said than done, but all these wee messages that I suppose are in the full album, I was just trying to summarise at the end with the lyrics.
I think for the time we're in, with what's been happening with COVID and no getting out and folk, anxiety must be going through the roof. And I think, and yous have got loads of fans, and there'll be fans of yours that are going through anxiety. I think to come out of the last lockdown, we've got a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and having a Colonel Mustard album there with these tunes on it is going to help folk and make them look for. I mean, I bet yous are going to have some cracking gigs when yous are going out to play, if you like, because like, you've got a body of work here that's on the one album now that's going to bring more fans. I mean, yous are sitting at number 1 in the Amazon charts. Yous are going.
What an achievement that is.
Thank you.
So,
cheers, man.
Like, and it'd be good to see you just go around the whole country with us. I'm really impressed with the album. I'm scored it myself. So Andy was 7.33 out of 10. Skimmer 7.88, Scott 7.88, the public was 7.58. Let's see what the difficult number 2 album total score was. Here we go.
Justify all the lies and your dreams and madness rolling through the brain. Well, you can't understand when I'm trying to kill you. Can't understand when I'm trying to kill you. Dancing around in a circle, only trying to explain.
Okay then, so the final album score is 7.79 out of 10. Let's see where that is in my charts then. So let's go to my chart update, and we'll start for the top. So, Heathen Chemistry 42 by Oasis, 41 The Man Who, 40 Erratic Cinematic Jerry Cinnamon, Love, Death and Dancing at 39, Sparkle in the Rain Simple Minds at 38, 7 in the Ragged Tiger 37 by Duran Duran, Police's Regatta de Blanc is at 36, Faith Brothers Eventide 35, and Reverend and the Maker's State of Things at 34. Aha, Shake Heartbreak, Kings of Leon at 33, Playboy Moby at 32, 31 Like a Prayer, Madonna, 30 Bring Me Horizons, Post-Human Survival, Lust for Life, Iggy Pop, 29, The Whippoorwill, Blackberry Smoke is at 28, and Travis's Invisible Band is at 27. RTJ4 is at 26, Exile on Main Street 25, Court and Spark, Johnny Mitchell 24, 23 Together Alone, Villains at 21, and a difficult number 2, number 21 in the chart, 20 Jagged Little Pill, 19 Black Country 2, and 18 Billy Joel's Turnstiles. Humbug Arctic Monkeys 17, Metropolis Part 2 by Dream Theater is 16, 15, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. 13, Whatever People Say I'm Not. And joint 13, A Kind of Magic with Queen. 12, Pardon Me, Is This It? By The Strokes. And 11 is Kick by In Excess. The top 10. 10, The Joshua Tree. 9, Thriller. 8, Let It Be. 7, Nevermind. 6, The Bends. 5, Appetite for Destruction. 4, What's the Story, More Than Glory. 3, The Doors. 2, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And 1, Revolver. So there you go, guys. Colonel Mustard and the Dijon 5 are at number 21 in the Pelikan Podcast chart. In there with some... So you're in there with... let's have a wee look again. So you've got... They're Together Alone, Crowded House, Villains by Queens of the Stone Age, you're joint with them, Jagged Little Pill, Black Country 2, Turnstiles, Billy Joe Elsa, and amongst good company there. So what do you make of that? He's alright with that? Is it alright doing this?
No, it's been brilliant and
Fantastic, thanks.
aye, great to be on and kind of even things you've not thought about before. It's been a nice experience just to go, aye, that's how that came about. Or, but the thing is, like most of the anecdotes tonight, somebody else will have an exact opposite story of how songs came about. That's what's always interesting about bands, and you know.
I think this will be good for your fans as well, that they can, because I'll clip this on YouTube where they can go in and there's a timeline on it where they can go in and go, right, that song, like how was that song written, what's the story about that song. I think that'll be good for folk to go in and see, because it's important, because it's you talking about your own album, and in 30 years time you can go back and look and go, here's that podcast that we did. I don't know if you'll talk like that, mind you. You might not have a moment. But
John might just get a phone in 30 years.
Aye.
The holograms, Brian.
Will you do a Stanley Odd album? Somebody brings a Stanley Odd up. We'll do any album.
Aye, definitely. Stanley Odd last album's incredible, so you should.
Big massive fan of Alana. A big massive fan of Colonel
Thank you,
Mustard
Alana.
5
Thank
and
you,
the
Alana.
Pelikan Podcast.
See you soon.
They're on every single week. So yeah, I've really enjoyed that tonight. It was good to do.
Likewise.
I think we were constructive. I don't think we enjoyed the album for a start. Skimmer, yourself?
I say that it totally grew on me throughout the week. So my scores went up and up throughout the week. And then, as I say, when I listened to it through the headphones earlier, it was like, fucking hell. And then even later on in the night, when I heard wee snippets, I heard even more bits. So I think even listening to it after this, I'll probably even, my scores will go up again. Although it no matter now because the podcast's been going, but
that's good, man. That's good feedback, and I think a lot of the credit needs to go to the producer Paul Gallagher, who all those extra wee things you're hearing and you know that grow on you. It's cause of him, really, isn't it? He's fucking
and his patience with you dealing with so many opinions.
I can only imagine. There's 11 people. It's hard enough. We recorded an album with 4 fucking opinions, and that was hard enough. You know what I mean? So I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Just as an addendum in the whole evening, Scott, Jason, thanks very much for having us on. And Scott, I'll absolutely love the format of your podcast. It's fantastic. It's
hats off
great.
to you, man.
Aye, it's great.
Both of you, it's great.
So there's a great balance of interactiveness between yourself and us as well, and it's a really nice, relaxed, format and stuff like that. So
talking about music, we always try and keep it to. We always try. Me and Andy always go right. Well, we get it to 2 hours the night, and it's impossible because see, once you talk about music and your guests are up for talking about music, which they all are, you just get into kind of. Like this podcast introduced me to a Japanese band called Baby Metal, and I'm oh my god, man, I can't stop.
I seen them at the bars.
You seen them? Oh.
Aye, I was working when they were playing.
Oh god, I just.
But that's the beauty, I think, like platforms like this, and this is obviously I think lockdown as well is like we were doing Zoom calls and that with the boys and doing quizzes and things that never fucking done that before, right? And this whole platform is opened my ears up to new music, because you're listening to this podcast, you go, fuck, that's quite good. So it's magic.
Yeah,
Aye,
definitely.
It opens you up to new production techniques. Like Hamish for Vicovi come on, and he brought us the Bring Me the Horizon album, which I'd never heard before, but there was production things in that was pretty cool, and like I'm like, oh, that would do good in a song. But I'm delighted. I really respect you, David. I love what you do, and for you to say
Likewise, mate. Thank you.
That means a lot that you're saying that you enjoy the podcast. So I was just enjoying it. Kirsten, I've never met you before, and it was really nice to meet you as well. And I can't wait to see you playing live.
You too.
Skimmer will probably
great host, mate.
Thanks
You'll see me soon.
I'll see you soon. But anyway, guys, we're going to play out with a live version of Cross the Road. I think I've got set up. Guys, it was an absolute pleasure. Good luck with your album. Let's get
Thank you.
on number ones in the charts, and we'll see you on the other side. Cheers, everyone. See you next week.
See you, Skimmer. Bye.
Bye. Now.
This is about road safety. You guys have used that in a horrific road traffic accident. Not my fault, okay? Rest of yous. Good luck. We're going to cross the roads. And we're going to teach you how. So, when it's red man time, red man, I want you to put your, even if you're a woman, I don't know what you're, a girl, but for the purposes of this song, you're a red man, okay? You need to put your hand in the air like that. And when it's green man time for crossing the road, you need to cross the road with the people, so cross to the other side of the stage. Watch out for what he's drunk, he's a bit of health and safety nightmare.